Who changed it for you?
I didn't have to change cars. It's embarrassing.
You wouldn't even change the wheel.
Why did you ask me that?
Oh my God.
Anyway, I'm going to start my programme. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Greg.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
All right, it is 21 minutes past 9. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here on Highland Radio. And thanks for Rory for covering me there for an extra 20 minutes. Car troubles this morning. And the joys of no phone signal to be able to tell anyone. But anyway, it's great to be here, and it's the start of another week, and it's an exciting week because we have a fantastic competition running for you all this week. We'll tell you more about that in a moment, and we've got loads of great guests to introduce to you over the course of today, and of course, as you know, throughout the week. The numbers to get in contact with us right now, you can give us a call, 07491 25000. That's 07491 25000. WhatsApps and texts to 086 60 at 25,000. Right, let's start off with a look at the front of the newspapers this morning. Starting with the Derry Journal, survey launched to identify areas at risk from flooding. And actually, I believe there was a bit of spot flooding in the south of the county overnight. If you saw that or have any pictures of that, get in contact with us with the usual through the usual numbers. But homeowners and businesses affected by the recent flooding have launched a survey aimed at identifying areas at risk and building flood resilience at a local level. It follows a meeting of over 100 residents and local business owners in Eglinton. Those in attendance were primarily people who had been previously flooded and first responders who helped others. On to the Irish Independent, and €480,000, €1,000 people are in line for double energy benefit bonus. The government is considering a once-off double payment of the €35 a month household benefits package as part of a range of cost of living measures aimed at tackling rising inflation. The household benefits package is paid to 484,000 people and includes a free television licence along with €35 a month towards a recipient's gas or electricity bill. It's paid to everyone in the country aged over 70 but can only be claimed by one person per household. The payment's also available to anyone aged between 66 and 70 who is in receipt of the state pension or the widowers or survivors civil partners pension. Anyone aged under 66 who's in receipt of the carers allowance or a disability allowance can also claim the payment. So they would see that as being targeted. On to the Irish Times now, and staff crisis threatens ambulance times. I mean, already there's been some controversy with delays times with ambulance arrivals, and we've covered that extensively on this programme, but this could exacerbate issues. Urgent and emergency services are threatened by a staffing crisis in the ambulance service, endangering targets for respondents to the most serious calls over the next 4 years, a HSE report says. An unpublished HSE presentation seen by the Irish Times warns recruitment is being surpassed by demand for the organisation's services, which poses a serious risk to the ability of the National Ambulance Service to deliver urgent and emergency care services. On to the Irish Daily Mail this morning. The Cabinet is divided over what the tax regime should be post-budget. Fine Gael ministers have issued a fierce defence of Leo Varadkar's plan for a new 30% tax rate in the wake of some in Fianna Fáil dismissing it as a stunt. The plan has led to a substantial cabinet rift, as Fine Gael claim it will save the squeezed middle €1,000 a year, while Fianna Fáil described it as a slogan. I wonder if you're in the squeezed middle, would €1,000 a year, do you feel, be enough? Well, that's what the 30% would deliver for many, they say. Well, a tax strategy group study found 1 million taxpayers could be around €1,000 a year better off under the proposed changes. The Taoiseach is determined to ensure that tax cuts are a central feature of Budget 2023. And I think, in fairness, all of the parties are agreed in that regard. The Irish Daily Mirror, 2 men have been charged with violent disorder and assault following the death of a man on a stag night. Paul Connolly was knocked unconscious in Athlone, County Westmeath in the early hours of Saturday. A court sitting late last night heard the alleged attack was captured on CCTV, and the 48-year-old suffered, and we'll go inside the paper, punches and kicks. Gardaí arrested and charged 2 local men with assault, causing harm to Mr. Connolly and violent disorder at Church Street, Athlone. And it was only just last Monday when we were last Tuesday, during the community garda slot that we were talking about how these attacks can turn fatal very quickly. That's the same story on the front of the Irish Daily Star as well. 2 charged after stag do death. And the Irish Sun, their front page, Gowls filmed stag do killing. Footage of stag party guest Babs Connolly last moment should not be shared online. Police have warned, or Gardaí have warned. 2 men appeared in court last night in connection with his death after the roofer, 47, died on a stag night in Athlone, County Meath. Okay, that was a run through the newspapers. We'll be back with our first guests on the programme shortly. Just to remind you how you get in contact, you WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000 or give us a call on 07491 25,000. And just a reminder that if you wish to watch the programme, you can do so on our Facebook pages and on YouTube. It's Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube and across the Facebook pages of the radio station.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
SMEs all over Ireland. You're just fab. That's not it. You're the bee's knees. I've got it. You're the business. Because many of you are now using digital to take your business to the next level. Whether you'd like to get online, grow online, or go global, check out, wait for it, You're the Business, the new digital training programme for Irish SMEs. Visit g.co/You're the Business. Brought to you by Google in partnership with Enterprise Ireland and your local Enterprise office. Nailed it.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 325 75.
For big name menswear at great prices, visit Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Top casual brands including Mishmash, Sixth Sense, Tommy Bow and Penguin. If you're going to a wedding or a big event, formal wear names include Rimassimo, Andre and White Label. Also a great selection of children's casual and formal wear in stock. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and online at watsonmenswear.com.
The Irish Legends, presented by McGinley Foundation, returns to Rosapenna Hotel and Golf Resort from the 16th to the 20th of August. Highland Radio will be broadcasting from the event all week. Our coverage comes to you in association with Voices Centra, Kerry, and Downings. Stay local, support local, shop local.
Now, as I mentioned at the start of the programme, albeit a belated one, we have a fantastic competition running for you all this week. Now, at Specsavers Hearing, they're aware of all the fun people missed out on over the last couple of years. So this week, Specsavers Hearing is helping to bring back some of the sounds you missed, like concerts. If the 60s and 70s songs evoke memories of your heyday, then we've got some more to take you down memory lane this week, as thanks to Specsavers Hearing, I'm offering you the chance to win tickets to Christy Moore Live in Donegal. Right, Christy Moore, an absolute legend, of course. He's live in Donegal in September, so you would get tickets to that, plus a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel. So that is some package, isn't it? Tickets to Christy Moore in September and €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel in Bundoran. Now, Specsavers Hearing have expert audiologists available in your local Specsavers store. So if you're concerned about your hearing, you can book a free hearing test using the PRSI entitlements, and Specsavers Hearing will arrange a hearing aid uniquely tailored to you. There are T's and C's, and they're available on our website. Okay, so what we are going to do, this is how you win. We are going to play you a series of events from a year. Okay, this is going back a bit. Okay, it's a news event, a piece of music, and a film. Okay, now it's only short, so we'll play it a couple of times for you over the course of the show. So if you can guess the year, text the year plus your name and where you're from to 086. We're using the 086 60 25,000 number, of course we are. Right, so have a listen to this. What year did all of this take place? Okay, we're going to have to come back to that piece of audio, actually. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment because there's a slight issue with the computer. But you know to expect it. It's going to be coming up for you before 10, and I'll play it again after 10. So we're going to play a bit of a song, a bit of music and a bit of a film, and you'll tell us what year it is. And if you are the lucky winner this week, you win tickets to Christy Moore Live in Donegal this September, plus a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel. But we'll do that for you just in a moment, so bear with us. Hi, Greg. I see Antonis Leo of Radcar couldn't resist once again yet another opportunity to have a dig at Sinn Féin. This was commemorating Arthur Griffith's life, and true to Fine Gael Fianna Fáil standards, couldn't help himself. He seems to be more of a TV personality than the leader designate of our country. That comes in from Eamon. The only thing about it is, Eamon, is it is the cut and thrust of politics. I'm not sure in what context he had a go at Sinn Féin, but if you're the leader and you're going to be the Taoiseach very, very soon, and you're heading a couple of years out to election, I suppose you're going to do everything you can, aren't you, to try and sort of chip away at the lead in the polls that your main opposition has. So we're going to see an awful lot of that in all different directions over the course of the next while, I'm sure. Greg, can you please say a big thank you to Dorothy, don't know her second name, who travelled on the express bus on Wednesday the 10th, 1:30 p.m. from the airport to Letterkenny. She helped a girl travelling from Spain to us for holiday and was so kind to her, sorting her ticket for the bus to ensure a seat on it. Big thanks. Lovely. No harm to do that first thing on a Monday morning. Well done to you. Dorothy, you've had a positive impact on those people's lives, no doubt. Now, even reading this out could cause a little bit of upset, but a listener wants to raise the issue, so I'm going to go ahead with it. There's an ad on TV, says this caller. It's for a razor for shaving pubic hair for women. It's on early in the morning, which I think is very inappropriate. Children are at home and tend to watch more TV now. Surely this ad should be on later in the evening, as it shows the image of the shaving happening. Now, I'm sure it's... I haven't seen it myself, but I'm sure it's not too detailed. This is taught in school at an age-appropriate time, so why is age not a consideration for this ad being shown on TV? So what do you think about that? It's an advert, I'm sure you may have seen it, and there are other adverts directed towards men, but it is an advert for a shaving product, for shaving around the private parts, I suppose is the way I could describe it, and it's on early in the morning. This caller believes children should not be exposed to it. What do you think? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Right, okay, let's see. I think now we can say good morning to our first guest of the programme. It's John Kerry, Project Manager of Colncraig Life. He joins us now. Good morning to you. How are you keeping, John?
Very well. Good morning, and good morning to all your listeners.
It's great to have you with us. Right, give us a little bit. I think everyone knows what the Colncraig is, but you know what? No harm in having a quick run through early on so we all know what we're talking about.
Well, I suppose the people who know the corncrake probably fall into two categories. The first category, people being of a certain vintage. This bird was so widespread back in the late 1960s that everyone would have known it in the Irish countryside because it has a very, very distinctive call. But we've lost a considerable proportion of our corncrake population in Ireland. About 95% of the population of corncrakes has been lost since the 70s. And they're now very much confined to North and West Donegal, the Mullet Peninsula in County Mayo, and parts of Connemara, particularly the islands. So your Donegal listeners who live in West Donegal, say areas around Fanet Head and Malin Head, would certainly be familiar with the corncrake. It's a ground nesting bird, very, very small, about the size of a blackbird, and it arrives back to Ireland from Africa every summer to rear its young. And then it returns to Africa usually in around early September each year.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of creatures, right? And unfortunately, many of them fall in the population. Some even go extinct. Why is the corncrake talked about so much? Why is it so important?
I think the reason people attach themselves to the corncrake is it's very much a bird that's indicative of an Ireland of the past. The corncrake is a bird, it's a farmland bird essentially, and it's a bird that had a kind of a very sympathetic and commensal relationship with people when farming was, I suppose, carried out at a slower pace in years gone by. So when Ireland was really kind of, before it joined the EU, before we had farming subsidies, farming was much lower intensity in Ireland. So we had a lot of traditional hay meadows. So when people saved fodder for their animals for the winter, it was generally traditional hay meadows, so the hay was cut later in the year, and this gave a lot of birds that nest on the ground, including the corncrake, a chance to actually reproduce, have its young, and to fledge its young into adulthood. And then as farming shifted, and it shifted quite rapidly in the 1970s towards kind of more intensive agriculture, and particularly silage production, that meant that grass was being cut much, much earlier in the summer. So birds like the corncrake really didn't have a chance to breed. So we lost them. So I think people's grow for the corncrake kind of goes back to, summers of the past in particular, and maybe a countryside that seemed to have a slower pace of life as well.
Right. Now, so this makes then, does it, the discovery of a nest of corncrake eggs all the more remarkable. Not easy to spot either.
No, so as part of we're an EU-funded project, a LIFE project, and as part of our project, one of our actions is we have a measure in place in the event that we ever recovered a nest with eggs or chicks or an adult corncrake that actually need rescue and rehabilitation. And we'd always hoped we might never ever have to actually implement this safety net protocol. But mid-June, we got a call from a farmer in Fannet Head in Donegal to say that they were actually going to be mowing a meadow very close to where a calling male corncrake had established a territory. And two of our field workers went around to monitor the mowing of that meadow. And the mowing of those meadows actually occurs from the middle out rather than from the outside in. And this gives the birds a chance to escape. And during that monitoring operation, our two field workers, on the very last pass of the mower, discovered a nest in at the side of the ditch. And I mean, talk about a hair's breadth. The mower passed so close to the nest that two of the eggs were actually knocked out.
Wow.
So it was a remarkable find, and it met what we call our threshold for intervention. So the nest was effectively abandoned by the female bird, and also the nest was probably at serious risk of predation. So
before we talk about then what happens next, I just want to establish for myself why this is so rare. Is it because corncrake rarely lay eggs here in this part of the world now, or is it the farming practices as such that they very rarely are discovered before maybe they're destroyed?
Well, first of all, like where this bird was found in Fannet Head, this year we only had one calling male corncrake in the entire area.
So the population isn't there, right? Okay, I get you.
The population just isn't there. So the numbers of corncrakes in certain areas is declining, and we're working very hard with landowners to try and boost them again. But corncrake nests are exceptionally difficult to find anyhow, because this is a bird that does not like to be seen. This is a very, very secretive bird. It likes long vegetation. It doesn't readily take to the wing like, say, a pheasant. If a corncrake gets flushed, it runs away very, very quietly and very quickly. So actually discovering a nest itself is quite remarkable. So in this instance, the planets aligned for us. We had the systems in place. The farmer we're very thankful for the fact that he mowed his meadow from the middle out and actually contacted our local field workers to help monitor this.
Right, so the plan was kicked in. This met the criteria. So what happens next?
So once the eggs were collected, and they were put into a special mobile incubation unit by our field officer, Jonah, and then they started to make their way south towards Photo Wildlife Park. Now, the reason they went to Photo Wildlife Park is Photo Wildlife Park are project partners with ourselves in the Corncrake Life project. And they also have a lot of expertise in corncrake husbandry. They actually have a small captive population of corncrakes. So they know how to incubate the eggs and raise the chicks. So they went on this remarkable journey from Fannet Head to Photo Wildlife Park. And it was very much a joint effort between project staff and Photo. Photo actually drove halfway up from Cork to meet us and take the eggs from us.
And then what happened?
So once the eggs got back to Photo Wildlife Park, one of the keepers there, John McLaughlin, and indeed the park director, Sean McKeown, they immediately candled the eggs. So they checked the eggs to see, were they viable? Did they have a viable embryo? And in fact, all 11 eggs did. Now, unfortunately, 2 of the eggs were slightly damaged, as I mentioned, where they were cracked, but they were still somewhat viable. So out of those 11 eggs, we got 9 very healthy chicks. And those chicks, they stayed in Photo Wildlife Park for about 3 weeks. where they were very carefully looked after, they were monitored. And once they got to 3 weeks old, we moved them back to Donegal. So we moved them back up to Fannet Head, very close to where we actually found the nest.
And given the low population base, that drastically improves the population.
Potentially, yeah. So I mean, we only had, one calling male in Fannet Head this year, but there was a female obviously as well, because there was a nest discovered. But these 9 adult corncrakes now that we released on the bank holiday weekend, they potentially there's a potential here for them to significantly bolster the Donegal population of corncrakes, not just Fannet Head.
So what is the corncrake's migration pattern then? When and where?
Well, they're a really interesting bird in that they actually have 2 clutches of eggs each year. So these eggs were discovered in June. So they're the first brood, as we call it. So those birds have actually left already. They've actually gone back to Africa already. But right now the corncrake is on its 2nd brood. So there's actually a lot of young corncrake chicks still on the ground out there. And what we really need is for people to engage with us to try and protect that second chicks.
In what numbers do they migrate back from Africa, though? Do they fly individually? Do they flock? Or what's the story?
It's a great question, and we simply don't know. There's so little known about corncrake migration. We assume that corncrakes go to West Africa, particularly to the Congo, because colleagues over in Scotland in the RSPB actually radio tagged a number of male corncrakes about 10 years ago. And one of the birds they recovered actually went down to West Africa, where corncrakes all over Europe, they actually go down into Southeast Africa. They go down to Mozambique and South Africa, whereas our birds seem to go to the Congo, which makes them unique as well.
And what would the Congolese population of corncrake be, roughly?
No one knows.
Like, is it plentiful? In other words, not that this would be the right thing to do, but could you not catch a lot of corncrakes in the Congo and take them up and repatriate them in Donegal until such time as they decide to flow back? You know what I mean? To try and...
Yeah, there's two things there. First of all, they're not Congolese corncrakes; they're Irish corncrakes. We're the factory. This is where they're born.
Understood.
They only have
so both of their nests, their 2 annual nests are in the northwest.
Yes.
Ah, right, okay. I see.
So,
Right, okay. Now, obviously, the biggest threat to their population in our part of the world is probably our farming practices, and that's not a criticism of farmers. They're out there trying to do their job as well, and these they're designed to be hard to find. But in Africa, are they still seen as a delicacy? Are they still eaten the way they once were?
I don't know if corncrakes are considered a delicacy in the Congo, to be quite honest with you. I mean, there's an argument there to say that I've heard people say, oh, well, we're helping corncrakes here so that they're going to their doom in Africa, but that's actually not the case at all. These birds undertake a mammoth migration, so they're actually flying across Europe, the Mediterranean, the Sahara, so they're naturally predated on the way there too. But if we turn the tap off here in Ireland and just say, well, that will be it. These are Irish birds, and just because they overwinter in the Congo doesn't mean that it's a Congolese problem.
No.
It's very much a problem.
But my question was not to suggest that the Congolese it's a problem down there. It was just to try and find out what could be threatening the amount of them. Okay, so you couldn't have these 9 that were released in Donegal. They weren't tagged or nothing. Will we be able to track them or?
Well, what we did was we were able to put what's called a BTO ring on them. So each bird has a ring on their leg for if they're ever recovered. Tagging corncrakes, we would definitely like to tag corncrakes in the future. This was very much lastminute.com because of the nature of the recovery. So what we're planning next year is to have very specialized tags in place that if this opportunity arises again, we might be able to put tags on the birds that actually geolocate them entirely along their migratory route, and we can track them there and back again.
Yeah, because there's great efforts being done to protect them. It'd be interesting to know more about them, and presume the more knowledge that is there, the more can be done to try and preserve and see those numbers grow. Very, very interesting, and it's a good story, and we appreciate you sharing it with us today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a million.
All right, and one other thing too, sorry. just as it relates to what we can do here, it's really about when and if farming practices change, isn't it? Really, that's because they're not going to switch habitat, or is it a case of sort of maybe having safe places for them, or what can actually change at this end?
Well, farmers are key to this, and we work with a lot of farmers on corncrake conservation, and they've done remarkable efforts in the 18 months that we've been working with them. And it's only small tweaks actually to farming practices that we need. Things like mowing a field from the center out. It's a simple enough change for a lot of people. Leaving a bit of habitat for the birds and encouraging them into areas where you don't mind delaying your mowing into August or even in September in some cases. So corncrakes very much respond to good habitat management practices, and a lot of the farmers working with us are really willing to tweak their farming practices to encourage the birds back and to try and protect them. And of course, there's compensatory payments in place for doing that.
Okay, great stuff. Listen, John, thanks for your time this morning. Take care of yourself. Slán, that's John Kerry, Project Manager of Corncrake Life. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp or text number. Right, back with more after these messages. Okay, the whole computer's not working for me too well today, this morning, so we'll go to that ad in a moment and we'll crack on with the programming until then. We're going to be joined by Councillor Jerry McMonagle very, very shortly. Just to some of your comments. Greg, notice there's a lot of ads about periods, but worst is women sitting on the toilet thinking about pads as early as well. It doesn't offend me. I don't know where the offence comes from that. I mean, these, it's half the population, and people are designing or trying to sell products for them. I mean, there's other ads directed at fellas as well. But anyway, talk to me a bit more about those adverts. Do they offend you, and if so, why? Right, Councillor Jerry McMonagle is chair of the HSE Regional Health Forum. Good morning to you, Jerry.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. Now, the HSE should delegate authority to someone with overall accountability for managing hospital waiting lists around the country. That's the view of the Irish Patients Association, which says the situation is getting worse and not better. I think, and because our hospital is local to us, I think all of us know the problems that people are experiencing there. And you, I'm sure, get plenty of representations on this issue, as does someone like me in my job. And you do get a sense that things are getting worse rather than getting better.
Yeah, it looks like it, Greg. And despite the introduction of Sláinte care in the last 6 months and extra monies for the National Treatment Purchase Fund, unfortunately, waiting lists are still continuing to increase and get longer, and in particularly for patients in Donegal.
Yeah, the figures for Letterkenny University Hospital. It is the worst rating in the country, where the average waiting time to see a consultant is, well, bother shouting, it's a year, 11.7 months.
Yeah, and that's to see the consultant in Letterkenny University Hospital. And then if you're sent then to see the consultant in Galway, where your procedure will probably or most likely take place, then you're put on a further waiting list there, and you start from day one again. And this is increasing the wait for patients in Donegal, and has been for a number of years. So how do we prevent this? It's not with a sticking plaster, it's with a long-term plan. We're dealing with a legacy of underinvestment in health services over decades, and we have seen the outcome of that there with the pressures on work. Over 400 doctors left the island of Ireland last year alone. They seek work elsewhere. Our difficulties, and it's been well versed on your show, in relation to recruitment and how do we recruit, but not even recruit, but maintain then that level of care and professionalism. So it's not going to be throw a few pound at it every now and then. It has to be sit back. It has to be a long-term plan. It has to be about reinforcing and shoring up all of the vacant consultant posts that we have, put in place a proper IT system, and train up our existing staff to a level where they can move into vacancies as they arise.
The problem is or the way I see it is that it doesn't appear to be an emergency. It's not a local emergency. It doesn't seem to be a national emergency. You can speak to the the highest of the higher ups in the HSE, and they will say, well, investment is available, we have vacancies, we're trying to recruit, but it's not seen as the emergency that it is. It doesn't reflect what people are going through, what many people listening to this program are going through, or people they love and care about, that they can't understand why something that is greatly reducing someone's quality of life, that's leaving them very low in how they feel, and has to be affecting their long-term physical well-being. Why is this not an emergency? Why are we not screaming from the rafters about this issue? Why is it sort of like, well, this is what we're trying to do, but it is what it is? That's what I can't understand.
Yeah, and look, and you've said it yourself a number of times on the show that if there was a protest called tomorrow around health services, there would be very few people attending it. Not the numbers that you would expect with the amount of complaints and difficulties our people have been having for years to access proper healthcare services in this region. But look, what it seems to look like is that if Dublin, which is, according to the Times, 7 or 8 months of a waiting list, Cork City, again, 7 or 8 months of a waiting list, and your major cities, if it's not an issue, it doesn't seem to become a national issue. It's okay for us out here in the sticks having to wait the years that we have to wait, but that's not good enough. And we've been saying for years that it's not good enough. And what we've been trying to put forward is solutions to develop the health service and a party across the island. And that's where we in Donegal can access healthcare services at the same speed as people in Dublin and Cork and Galway, for that matter.
In a population of 100 and what is it now? We're 163,000 people in Donegal, and this is not something I feel, by the way, but I just wonder if it comes down to the thinking. With a population of our size, which would be it would, even if you took it as a city, it wouldn't be a huge city. Do you think they think that we can't expect everything that Dublin has because of its population? In other words, even though there's huge waiting lists, even though the hospital is wedged, in terms of the level of cases that's required to hire a certain type of staff, do you think our expectations to have a Dublin-style hospital in the middle of a rural county of 160,000 people, is it a realistic expectation under any government, for that matter? Like,
no, I don't think so. But it's how we look at healthcare services. Like we have here in the Northwest City region, a region that we're developing in every other aspect of life, whether it be business, whether it be the council, whether it be around housing and planning and all of that. Why can we not look at Donegal in that context of the Northwest City region, where you will have a 350,000 of a catchment area of people living in that area, and you can then house that type of hospital within that area that will meet all the needs of the people in that Northwest City region, because the people of Derry and Strabane and Castledare are facing the same difficulties of having to travel outside their locality to get services. I was talking to a brother of mine yesterday who lives in Derry and is getting treatment, a knee operation in Navan. So like it's how we look at our health services, how we look about delivering services, not just health, but every other kind of services. And the Northwest City region is an area that could be put together. Already we have the local councils all working together. The health service to a certain extent are. Education facilities are working hand in glove with one another. Why can we not look at this region as in that context?
Do we know what the appetite for an arrangement like that is in the north? I mean, as much as we can with the executive not being up and running, but would there be any resistance to that? I mean, it would seem a no-brainer.
Well, we have the cancer services already, and there is already an arrangement around.
Yeah, but I mean, even almost like it being seen as a campus, a Northwest campus, whereby it is a really organised, orchestrated, complete interaction with one another to mutual benefit. If that's the solution, we just need to accelerate it then, if the will is there.
Yeah, and look, and there is discussions ongoing, and we have the medical school in McGee, and the whole thinking behind that is the provide doctors and consultants that would stay in this area and would facilitate that healthcare service that's needed. So there is still stuff already happening, but at the higher level, you're right. I think governments need to invest in it, and invest in it.
Make it a policy and say, look, we need to establish this. Okay, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. Okay, that's Councillor Jerry McMonagle, who is chair of the HSC West Regional Health Forum. Right, a reminder for you of our competition running for you this week. Thanks to our friends at Specsavers Hearing. Specsavers Hearing, they're very aware of all the fun people missed out over the last couple of years, and this week Specsavers Hearing is helping to bring back some of the sounds you missed most, like concerts. So if the 60s and 70s songs evoke memories of your heyday, then we've got something to take you down memory lane this week. As thanks to Specsavers, we're offering you the chance to win tickets to Christy Moore live in Donegal this September, plus a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel. Specsavers Hearing have expert audiologists available in your local Specsavers store. If you're concerned about your hearing, you can book a free hearing test using your PSRI entitlements, and Specsavers Hearing will arrange a hearing aid uniquely tailored to you. Our T's and C's for this competition are on our website. It's the kind of thing, going to see your audiologist, that some of us put off. And it can change your life drastically if you go and get your hearing looked at. And if you need some assistance, you get some. Right, so we're going to ask you to identify a year. I'm going to play now a bit of a song, a bit of a film, and a bit of a news story from a particular year. It's short, but that's to make it fun. And I'll play it a number of times throughout the course of the day so you get an opportunity to hear it. So what you have to do is identify the year. Text the year plus your name and where you're from to 08660 25000. So what year are we talking about here?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Beginning to get on my nerves. Who are those guys?
All right, there's a bit of a film quote there, there's a bit of a news story, and there's a bit of a song. What is the year? And I'll play it again later, by the way. Text the year, your name, where you're from to 08660 25000. You could win those tickets to see Christy Moore and a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel. All right, we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Student loans now available and free banking for students from your local and friendly credit union. Call 91 02126. or email loans@letterkennycu.ie.
The legends are coming.
The legends of golf are coming.
The countdown is on. Yes, there are only a number of days to the start of the Irish Legends. Presented by the McGinley Foundation, the event takes place at Rosapenna Hotel and Golf Resort. Tuesday the 16th, their fairways will be filled with celebrities from the world of sport and entertainment. And Thursday the 18th is the start of the professional competition. Witness some of the greats of the game, including Ryder Cup captains, major winners, taken to the links of Rosapenna over 3 days. Will they be up to the challenge? Tickets now on sale at legendstour.com. Irish Legends, presented by the McGinley Foundation.
In 2018, Toyota cut through the confusion, completely ceasing production of diesel passenger cars, lowering harmful emissions and providing certainty for Irish drivers everywhere. And Kelly's Toyota are proud to be part of that hybrid electric journey. Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles today to see what makes Toyota Ireland's best-selling car brand in 2021 and 2022. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world. Best-selling claim based on most recent monthly figures.
Does your little one have a jam-packed schedule? Kit them out at Dunnes Stores with a uniform that can keep up. Get joggers that will survive PE on the muddy pitches from just €5, and sweatshirts that will breeze through messy art projects from just €3.75. Pick up a comfy cotton-rich jumper from just €8, and packs of play-proof polos from just €3. Back to school at Dunnes Stores for little ones with big schedules. Shop in-store or online now at dunstores.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Fleming doors, not flaming doors. You know, garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, providing engineering solutions since 1860. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The HSC should delegate authority to someone with overall accountability to manage hospital waiting lists around the country. That's the view of the Irish Patients Association, which has just published the details of its July figure study. Letterkenny University Hospital had the worst rating in the country in terms of waiting times for last month. Stephen McMahon of the IPA says it is a very serious situation.
Letterkenny being the worst performer for the month of July, where patients in the Letterkenny area would be waiting 11.7 months to see a consultant, or 9.5 months to have their operation, which gives you a total of 21 months. This is a huge length of time when you compare it to some other hospitals.
SIPTU says it's willing to be flexible in upcoming public sector pay talks with the government. It comes as the Public Expenditure Minister Michael McGrath says he's prepared to make an improved offer to unions ahead of the next budget. Previous talks had broken down without agreement, with unions looking for pay rises to combat inflation. Well, SIPTU's Deputy General Secretary John King says it's great that the Minister is talking to the media, but he says the Minister must communicate any offers to them.
That is not being said to us directly. So while it's a welcome piece of commentary, it has yet to play itself out in talks with the Public Services Committee, and we're anxious that those talks, if they're to reconvene, would do so at an early date.
A report has found the Western Investment Fund, which was established in 2002, has generated a return of almost 2.5 times its original value. An independent analysis of the socio-economic impact of the fund, which is administered by the Western Development Commission, provided Ireland's economy with a €3.3 billion boost. Having started with almost 32 million, the fund is now valued at €73 million, and it's been self-financing since 2010. Investment manager Gillian Buckley says 20 Donegal projects have been supported by the fund, and it's made a very real difference.
We support very early stage startups and also community sectors, and in Donegal we've companies like Content Lama and Donegal Town, Slieve Lee Whiskey Distillery, and Cerebron, a fintech company in Ardra. 3D Issue we've just recently invested in Letterkenny, and we also support community projects across the region, everything from connected hubs to childcare and social care and community centres.
Penalties for dog fouling are not being strictly enforced in some parts of the country. Galway City Council and 2 Dublin local authorities failed to issue any fines to pet owners in 2021. Donegal County Council was one of 9, which the NCBI says did not provide them with any figures. 1,200 new beds are being made available for students returning to full-time education. The first round of CAO offers come out in September, with thousands not knowing where they'll live. Higher Education Minister Simon Harris says while the new beds are welcome, he concedes it's not enough, and he has long-term plans to alleviate the problem.
As the new college year begins, we have about 1,200 more student beds this year than last year. So we are significantly seeing year on year more beds being put into student accommodation, and that's a good thing. But we've also got to be honest and blunt with people that in and of itself isn't enough. And just before the summer recess, I got approval from the Cabinet Committee on Housing to put in place a new policy. And this policy will basically see the state subventing, assisting with the cost of building a college-owned affordable accommodation.
The Hardware Association of Ireland is calling for vacant homes to be included in the government's Help to Buy scheme. That was an issue raised at a recent conference on dereliction in Letterkenny. They believe 34,000 of the country's 167,000 empty homes could be renovated at a reasonable price. They're looking for budgetary measures including a 6% vacant property tax and zero interest loans of €60,000 for renovations. The association's CEO Martin Markey also says landlords should be given tax incentives for bringing properties back into use.
We're looking at the other stakeholders, those who actually own the vacant properties at the moment. So they can avail of the current repair and lease scheme, which is a zero interest loan, but also looking at a tax incentive for them if they rent out the property for 5 years. So they pay very little, or they pay less tax on the property over the first 5 years of the rental.
Weather forecast and Met Éireann tell us it will be fresh and mainly dry today. Some isolated showers. A number of those showers will be heavy and thundery. We'll also see some intermittent sunny spells. Top temperatures today closer to normal, ranging 15 to 17 degrees Celsius. Light to moderate northerly winds, increasing fresh to strong along coasts. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 15th of August. The death has taken place of Neil Havlin, Castle Kerry, Redcastle. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 12:20 for 1 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Drung, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Neil's funeral mass can be viewed live on stcolumbuschurchdrung.com. The death has taken place of Sean Liddy, Oxfield Road, Drumcliff, County Sligo, late of Tureen, Spansel Hill, County Clare. Reposing at his home in Drumcliff from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock this evening. House private please at all other times. Mass of the Resurrection at 11:30 tomorrow morning in St Columkills Church, Rathcormac, County Sligo, with burial afterwards in Rathcormac Cemetery. Funeral Mass will be live streamed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Coronary Care Unit, Sligo University Hospital, care of Sean Feely's Funeral Home, Sligo. The death has taken place at her home of Annie McNulty, née Murray, Altascan, St Johnson. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 for funeral mass at 11 o'clock in St Bathan's Church, St Johnson, with burial afterwards in the family plot in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of Terence McClintock, Funeral Director, or any family member. Family time only please on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Tanya McCafferty, née Gill, Church Hill, Letterkenny. Funeral Mass in St Columkills Church, Dandone at 11 o'clock this morning, followed by private cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, County Cavan. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only please, donations to the Irish Cancer Society, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Mary Tully, née Logan, Drum, Sligo, Woodtop, Carndonagh. Funeral from her home this morning at 10:15 to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And the death has taken place of Bridie Bradley, Bomini, Letterkenny. Bridie's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there this morning at 11:15 to St Eunan's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 12 noon, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by interment in Conwall Cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to the Haematology Ward, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. Family time please this morning. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
If that sounds good, so will this. Save up to €300 off your car insurance cover when you buy online at libertyinsurance.ie. That's based on a 25% discount for new policies. Up to €300 off your car insurance. That's money for living. That's liberty. Future-proof. Subject to a minimum premium and applied before optional covers. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Liberty Seguros Compañía de Seguros y Reaseguros S.A., trading as Liberty Insurance, is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pensions Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
And you're welcome back to the programme now. Would you like to win €2,500 from John Breslin this coming Friday? Because the Highland Radio Summer Mega Cash Draw continues this week. We were delighted on Friday to give one lucky listener from Rafo €2,500. He was thinking of taking his better half to Sligo for a bit of a break. He was also thinking about getting a new car, and this was just enough money maybe to sway his decision in that regard. And it was wonderful to be able to give that amount of money away. So you have until Friday at around about 11 o'clock to join Brian as a winner. And if you want to get your tickets for the draw, it's simple. As I say, it's €2,500 cash this coming Friday, so you can get your tickets now. If you do, you'll also be in a draw on the 26th and the 22nd for another 2,500 on both days. And then also you'll be in the draw for the 10,000 cash giveaway. Brian's back in the draw drum for that as well. So if you have a tenner to spare and it's well within your means, then get in contact with us via our website, highlandradio.com, and you can book your ticket there. It's for a tenner. You can get, if you spend 50, you get 6 tickets. If you spend 80, you get 10 tickets. And a lot of people were buying them and giving them as early gifts for different reasons and different occasions, or just to give them out through the family. So get in touch with us right now too. If you can't use the internet, you can call us on 07491 25,000, buy your ticket for €10, and then you can sit back and relax in the knowledge that you're in the draw this week for €2,500, the following week €2,500, and on that same day €10,000. Sorry. And €2,500. So there's 12,500 be given away on the 2nd of September. So get in touch with us now, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link there. Buy your ticket, or contact us if you wish. If you don't use the internet, 07491 25,000, and we will sort you out. And John Breslin on Friday will be giving one of you €2,500. And while we're talking about competitions, just another reminder for you that each day we're going to play you a snippet from a hit from the 60s or 70s, along with a piece of a movie and news. We're inviting you to let us know the year in which 3 came from. All you need to do is tell us the answer along with your contact details. We'll pick a daily winner from all the correct answers we'll receive. Then we'll put 5 names in the hat on Friday, and out will come a winner who will win tickets to see Christy Moore live in Donegal this September, plus a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel in Bundoran. Okay, and it's all thanks to our friends at Specsavers Hearing. Okay, here's the wee clip. Tell us what the year these events came from.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You're beginning to get on my nerves. Who are those guys?
All right, and it's just a regular text message to 086 60 25,000, and you can give us the answer, your name and where you're from. One of you will be drawn out later. You'll go into the hat for that bumper prize on Friday. Good luck if you're playing the bingo today.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 15th of August. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S1. It's game number 33. The numbers are 33, 67, 86, 14, 37, 7, 57, 30, 25, and finally 54. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €6,100 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Irish sun doesn't really count, right?
Look, we all deserve a bit of sun.
Skin cancer is the most common cancer in Ireland, so whether you're at home or abroad, protect your skin by following these sun smart steps. Slip into long loose clothes, slop on the sunscreen, slap on a sun hat, seek shade. Yeah, even on the cloudy days. Oh, and slide on the sunglasses.
I do have very funky sunglasses.
And I do love this hat.
Be sun smart from the HSE and Healthy Ireland.
This Tuesday night at Logues of Cranford, there's the final big band night of the summer, with dancing to Jimmy Buckley and his band. That's big band dancing this Tuesday night at Logues of Cranford with Jimmy Buckley and his band.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
The Kildare Fair makes a welcome return this weekend at McCarry's Bar, Dunfanaghy. Enjoy Bingo Loco on Thursday night, All Folked Up on Friday, the Whistling Donkeys on Saturday with Gary Oak and the High Flying Paddies on Sunday. All happening this weekend at the Kildare Fair. This ad is sponsored by Collision Assist, the Northwest's leading accident management and crash repair company.
Okay, I'm hoping I'm joined on the programme by Lorna Fitzpatrick, Advocacy and Engagement Manager with the NCBI. Can you hear me, Lorna? No, unfortunately, we're just having some slight audio issues there. We'll get to Lorna in a moment. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll read some of your messages which are coming into us. Morning, Greg. I hope you and your listeners will know the answer to this question. We're heading to Spain on Friday and flying out of Belfast to Malagodis, is that it? Do your listeners... sorry, it's Malaga. Malaga and Does is joined together. Sorry. We're flying out of Belfast to Malaga. I will read anything if it's put in front of me. Do your listeners know if you require a 48-hour COVID test done, or is certs of vaccination or recovery enough as entry into Spain? Well, here's the answer to you. If you're travelling to Spain from the UK, which for the purpose of this conversation, it applies... your vaccination status must meet the Spanish authorities' validity period requirement. So if you're fully vaccinated, you can also get in with a negative COVID test, either a PCR taken within 72 hours prior to departure or an antigen test taken within 24 hours prior to departure. You have recovered from COVID-19 in the last 6 months, and you can use a medical cert or recovery record to prove your COVID-19 status on entry to Spain. These requirements do not apply to children under 12 years of age. Okay, so those are the rules. If you're fully vaccinated and travelling from the UK to, you can enter Spain. Your vaccination status must meet the Spanish authorities' validity period requirements. If you have received a booster, you're considered fully vaccinated for entry to Spain. As soon as you receive your booster, you're considered fully vaccinated with immediate effect. There's no current expiry date for booster jabs, so you do require a booster according to the official website there. So hopefully I haven't confused anything further, and you get that works for you there, and that information works for you. The issue within the HSE is accountability, says this caller. Until we get this, nothing will change. Until someone's job is on the line, we will see no change. Look at Altnagelvin Hospital next door to us. It's run a lot more efficiently. Another look at the private hospitals. If they don't perform, the management are gone simply because it's run like a business and there's no waste. Hospitals in Ireland are run like an endless pit of money, and I can understand where you're coming from there. Righty-o. I've got the nod from Lorna, which is all good. Lorna Fitzpatrick, Advocacy and Engagement Manager at the NCBI. A very good morning to you, Lorna.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you with us. Okay. Right, we're going to be speaking about... a new initiative, I suppose, a new campaign called Clear Our Paths. Now, before we get to that, we're a bit light on data for Donegal, aren't we? There was a website established where members of the public could sort of have their say as to, you know, whether they've come across issues in Donegal. There was no figures provided for Donegal, but I can assure you, and I'm sure you know already, Lorna, there are significant problems, you know, on our highways and byways in Donegal, as there is in every other county. So I suppose, what kind of reports were you getting across the country from people who took part in this survey?
Yeah, so I suppose the first thing I suppose to say is that we get reports from people who are blind or vision impaired continuously across the board in a variety of different counties. I don't think anywhere wouldn't have some form of issue or concern in relation to dogfouling in particular. But the figures that we actually are reporting as part of the campaign are figures that were provided by the local authorities. or in some instances, such as Donegal, where they didn't actually provide us with any data. So we had contacted them quite a bit over the last number of weeks and months to try and get this data, and unfortunately, some were not in a position to share that with us.
So I've jumped the gun a little bit here. This web portal is only being opened now, is it?
So the website that we've created is actually there to support people to start to have some conversations around these temporary obstacles. So the Clear Our Paths campaign is aimed at kind of educating and raising awareness about the impact that temporary obstacles can have on people who are blind or vision impaired. And those temporary obstacles kind of range with everything from cars parked on footpaths to dog fouling to overhanging branches or wheelie bins and street furniture. Maybe that isn't placed in the most accessible way, particularly as a result of COVID. We obviously see an awful lot more of outdoor dining. So today we've launched a web page with, I suppose, some hints and tips for people on how to have some of these conversations with friends and family and within their own community about the impact of these temporary obstacles, because in reality, an awful lot of them can actually be removed or prevented based on our own behaviour. And so we're trying to educate people and encourage people to be more proactive, I suppose, in their day-to-day lives, whether it's picking up after their own dogs or whether it's, I think there's very few towns across the country where somebody hasn't pulled up on a footpath to run into a shop for just a minute to just grab one thing. But the impact of that for somebody who's blind or vision impaired means they're actually pushed out onto the road, which is a significant risk and danger, I suppose.
Let's start with the dog fouling, because, people who aren't visually impaired, they will give out about that. So just imagine you walking down the path, you in your eye line, you see dog poo, you step to one side, right, and you go about your business and you go, that's absolutely disgraceful, that is. Now, what we have to do is put ourselves then in the position of someone with sight loss. They step into it, right? So, imagine what that you're maybe you're away from your car, you're away from your home, whatever, or if you're using a stick, that it goes onto the stick, right? So just imagine that. Imagine the smell as you break the skin of it. I don't want to be crude here, but I just want us all to imagine exactly what we're talking about. So you're out and you're exercising your independence, which is fantastic. And then you have to deal with stuff on your shoe or stuff on your cane or whatever it might be, and how that would impact a simple walk compared to someone who isn't visually impaired that can just take a step or whatever. And I think it's important that sometimes we put ourselves in that position, those of us this doesn't affect, and understand what that would mean and how that might pee you off and how completely avoidable it is, because all we have to do is clean up after our pets.
Yes, that's it. And like for somebody who has a cane, as you say, they're walking along a footpath, whatever it is, the cane goes into the dog fouling and they may not even be aware. And so it's only when they fold the cane up and then all of a sudden it's on people's hands. And, at best it's unhygienic, but at worst it's dangerous. There's health implications that can come from it.
And apologies to some listeners who might, but we have to be descriptive about this because this is people's lived experience, and, we can't sugarcoat it as if it's no big deal. Another problem we seem to have here, and I don't know if it's a council issue or if it's private residents or lack of enforcement, is hedges and overhangs on our footpaths. Some of the footpaths, their size is reduced to down like a slither. Do you know what I mean? Where you have to almost step off the path. Now, again, if you have your vision, you will see that. You'll tilt your head. You'll be a bit annoyed by it. You potentially could get this in your face if you're walking with your assistant's dog or, again, with a cane or however you might get around. So that's something I think, I don't know if it's private landowners or the council or enforcement, but it's a big problem at the moment because I'm getting photos sent to me all the time.
Yeah, it is. And I suppose it's an issue that spans across all of those people, I think, really. Some of the properties will be council properties, whether it's public thoroughfares or whatever it may be. Others are private land homeowners with maybe a hedge or a tree or whatever it is in the front garden. And again, a lot of this is down to maybe just not being aware. It's not that people are proactively taking or putting obstacles in people's way. That doesn't tend to be the case. It really is just down to lack of awareness or lack of knowledge around it. So we're hoping by having this campaign and raising awareness that people will think, oh, well, actually, I should go out and cut that hedge, or I can take down that low-hanging branch, so that it doesn't cause that obstacle for people. Because again, at best, it can be embarrassing, but at worst, it can cause an injury, whether it can put somebody's face or eye or whatever.
Exactly. Imagine a sharp end of a branch going straight into your eye, and you completely, not completely, but you're not aware it's about to happen, what impact that could have in terms of infection or a bit of stick in there or whatever it might be. I know this is not necessarily all covered by the campaign, but I just want to get it out there whilst we have you, because what emerged through a listener recently too, you see, we asked the public to do their bit and we asked business owners to do their bit, but many of the traffic lights in Letterkenny and other towns don't have any audio assistance.
Yeah.
Right, so we're sort of hoping maybe to reach out to businesses here or the public, and yet the local authority or the council or the TII or whomever's responsible, we have sets of traffic lights with no audio assistance in the biggest town in Donegal and other towns as well. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a massive issue right across the country, and we have local advocacy networks in NCBI based right across the country who are dealing with those kind of issues that are local issues that impact on local people. And we're actually coming to Donegal, to Letterkenny, to the public library on the 8th of September, and encourage anybody who's blind or vision impaired, or people who wish to support people who are blind or vision impaired, to come along. And you can find out more details about that on our website. As I say, it's the 8th of September in the public library in Letterkenny. And it'll be running from 11 till 3, but you can register on the NCBI website. But the lack of audio signals is a massive issue that affects people, because again, it takes from somebody's independence to be able to cross the road by themselves without requiring any additional assistance. It is regarded as best practice to have those audio signals in place, but unfortunately that isn't the case across the board. And sometimes the reasons we get back are around outdated systems, or it's in the plan, or whatever that may be. And we're just encouraging local authorities to be proactive.
Yeah, they're fobbing you off. It's probably a standard reply to kick the can down the road until they get another contact about the issue. It's a disgrace, in my view. Because
it does require an awful lot of people reaching out and trying to make similar requests time and time again, and that does seem to be how we achieve change. But it does take some time, and it is frustrating, absolutely.
And whoever's responsible, if they contact us and say, this is what we're doing and this is when we hope to have it done, we'll shout that from the rooftops here as well. It's not about exposing problems, but we'll also celebrate success as well and say, right, okay, we've all worked together here, and there's something we can achieve. Right, I'm throwing everything at your Clear Our Paths campaign, right? So I'm going to shut up for a wee while. I can't promise how long, and just you get the key points of this campaign out, and who you're trying to reach, and what maybe we can do.
Well, I suppose we're trying to reach everybody. And one of the key messages that we're trying to get through from the website, from the new webpage that we've developed, is that we can all be active bystanders, that, we can all be proactive in ensuring that we have safe streets for people who are blind or vision impaired, but also people with other access issues. It could be wheelchair users, or even parents with prams, it can be an issue there too. And what we're saying is that we can have these conversations now. We don't have to wait for an action to take place, for somebody not to pick up after their dog, or for somebody after they've parked on a footpath to have these conversations. We could have those conversations today and be more proactive around it. So log on to the NCBI website, www.ncbi.ie, and the tips and hints around how to have these conversations are there. And do that this evening over a cup of tea, or do it this morning over a cup of tea, over the wall with your neighbour, or when you're out for a walk and you're chatting to a friend down the street. Have those conversations now, which means that we can be proactive in preventing some of these temporary obstacles rather than having to react to them.
Yeah, I just wonder, have we gone backwards a little bit in terms of street furniture and, sandwich boards? It was all gloves off during COVID, and we understand that because business had to be given every assistance to survive and to market and what not. But, a lot of stuff that was temporary has kind of become permanent. So maybe business owners just go out and, walk 50 yards in someone else's shoes and see if you can rearrange things to make it, safer.
And NCBI is always happy to engage with any business owner, any community group, to offer assistance and guidance in how to ensure that their business or premises is accessible, be it the streetscape or be it the actual business in and of itself, and always happy to do that. And you're right that after COVID, we have seen an increase in street furniture. So there is a responsibility on business owners to ensure that that streetscape is accessible, but also on customers. And one thing that comes through to us all the time is where somebody sits down and and puts their bags to the side of the chair, and then they fall over, and that's automatically a trip hazard. So instead of leaving them to the side of the chair, put them under the chair or under the table, so they're out of the way of the streetscape as well. And so there's a responsibility on all of us to be as proactive as possible.
Okie doke, Lorna, it's been lovely speaking to you. Do you want to give us that website? I'm sure you've mentioned it, just to make sure people know where to go.
Absolutely, www.ncbi.ie, and it's on the homepage there, so you'll find it fairly quickly.
Okay, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. That's Lorna Fitzpatrick, Advocacy and Engagement Manager at NCBI. Okay, what is the year? Listen to this. What year did all this happen in?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You're beginning to get on my nerves. Who are those guys?
Okay, I suppose you could say we're reeling in your ears with our friends at Specsavers Hearing. If you recognise that year, WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000 with your with the answer, of course, your name and where you're from. You will be one of you will be drawn out of the hat today. We'll throw a Highland Radio goodie bag in your direction, but you'll go into the main draw on Friday for your chance to go and see Christy Moore live in Donegal this September, plus a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel. One of you is going to win that great prize. I wish it were I, but anyway.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range, including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology, Skoda Connect, with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda today. Call 972136. Skoda. Made for Donegal.
Back to school at Brian McCormick's Sports and Leisure. Triple black footwear available in junior, women's and men's sizes from Vans and Adidas. Match it up with a backpack and tracksuit bottoms, ideal for back to school from Nike, Adidas, Vans and Under Armour. Look the part, play the part. In-store, online, mobile. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
The Irish Legends, presented by McGinley Foundation, returns to Rosapenna Hotel and Golf Resort from the 16th to the 20th of August. Highland Radio will be broadcasting from the event all week. Our coverage comes to you in association with Voices Centra, Kerry, Gart and Downings. Stay local, support local, shop local.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are recruiting for their customer service teams with both in-office and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training will be provided. Insurance qualifications available with bursary and study support also provided. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie and apply via their careers page.
Okay, very exciting, of course. A fantastic event taking place at the Rosapenna Hotel and Golf Course Golf Resort this week. We have some of the biggest names in sport and showbiz. They're competing in Tuesday's Celebrity Series event at the famous Old Tom Morris Link. Daniel O'Donnell will be joined by Boys Life members to represent the music world at the event, and we are joined on the programme now, I believe, by Brian McFadden, formerly of Westlife, or of Westlife, should I say. Brian, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Congratulations.
I have to say, that gets confusing for us now as well when we do interviews, myself and Keith. It's like, it's Brian, formerly of Westlife, Keith, formerly of Boyzone, still kind of been Boyzone, in Boys Life. Yeah. I think we get confused at this stage.
And people think golf's complicated.
Yeah.
Come here. How many of these type of events do you get involved in? I'd say it's brilliant fun to be part of it.
That's incredible. Actually, Keith and I have been involved from the very beginning of this, the Legends series and the Celebrity series as part of that. You know, it's great crack. We've done the European tour once for years, but the Legends event is a different level altogether, because it's all the older players. You know, the players that when we were growing up in the 90s, these were the superstars. And they're the ones that still have the crack. You know, you go to these European tour events now, and they're great to watch, but these players are so serious now, and they're walking around in their with their TrackMan and their fruit juices and this, and you'd never see one of them in the bar. Whereas, you go to the bar on Tuesday night after the pro-am for the Legends event, and you see the Darren Clarks, the McGinleys, the Sam Torrances of the world sitting around telling stories, still having fun and still enjoying it. So there's a lot of fun in these events, I have to say. We've loved it.
Yeah, Keith, are you with us? You can hear us okay, can you?
I can hear you loud and clear, guys. Yeah, 100%.
It's good to have you with us. All right, we were hearing from Brian there how much he enjoys these type of events. It's going to be great having you up in Donegal. What are you looking forward to, Keith?
I'm looking forward to Rossapenna. I've never played Rossapenna, and this whole tour's final last year happened in Mauritius, where I qualified over in Formby, and I went down to Mauritius, and I went down to win the whole celebrity series that's run in conjunction with the Legends Tour. So all of us kind of entertainers are people that are coming up to playing the Pro-Am. We have an opportunity, if we win in Rossapenna, to go out through playing the finals in the Seychelles in November. So there's a great incentive for everybody that's playing in this to play your best and to play well. Luckily for me, I don't have to qualify because I won in Mauritius last year. I'm being brought back to defend my title. So Brian will be under a lot more pressure than I will be tomorrow.
I'll tell you,
I'm under no pressure because I get to go as your caddy either way, so I don't mind.
Keith, it sounds like you're going to be.
I tell you what I'm most excited about. I'm excited to be allowed to play on Rossapenna because my family is all from Creeslough, and obviously growing up, the only place we got to play golf was a little par 3 in Creeslough.
Oh no,
they never allowed near Rossapenna Golf Club.
They've got a mat for you, Brian. Did you not hear that? No.
They've got a what?
A wee mat for you to put on the fair.
So they don't take up any divots.
No, only joking. Keith, it sounds like you're just on the brink of a call up from Live Golf.
Listen, if I get that call, I'm gone.
Forget the moral implications. Hey, I'll go. Brian, what I was going to say to you was, it is. Anytime you play golf, it doesn't matter, and this is why it's a great sport. It's a great leveler. It doesn't matter if it's some fella that just happens to turn up on the first tee box as you, and you need someone to play with, or guys and girls that go out on a Saturday. This type of competition, or even at the highest level, it is just all about, having a bit of fun, of course, but it's ultra competitive too. Do you approach it like that, even though you might say it's a bit of fun? At the end of the day, bragging rights and all the rest of it, you'd love to get one over on Keith, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and it's the greatest sport in the world. I think that, as you said, it's got a great leveler with the handicap system, because you can play against the best player in the world. And, if you both go out and play your best, you could actually beat that person with your handicap. So, I've played football all my life and stuff like that, but you'd always have to kind of, at this stage, you've got to play with another couple of 40-year-olds with a bad back and 2 bad legs. Whereas with golf, I could play with my daughter, or I could play with my dad, or I could play with Keith. It doesn't really matter. We're all different levels and different skills, but we can still go out and have a good competitive match. But I think, me and Keith have been very lucky over the last 6 or 7 years since we've been doing boys. Like we've been invited to so many of these incredible events, like the Legends event, bringing us over to Mauritius for the grand final last year. Gary Player brings us over to South Africa every year to play in this golf event. We've got to travel all over the world, and it's a great social thing, golf. And we've been so lucky that golf has got to take us to so many amazing places, meet so many amazing people. And I would say to any young people out there that are trying to figure out what sport they want to take up, I would highly advise them to take up golf, because there's so many different things that come out of golf, not just from traveling the world, but the amount of deals and stuff that get done on golf courses, and people get jobs, and it's such a brilliant game. And we're looking forward to traveling up today and playing tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think, in fairness, particularly to a lot of the courses here in Donegal, it's accessible. For young people, there are great deals for families and stuff. It may have had a reputation in the past of being sort of an elitist sport, and you see what's going on in France at the moment, where it's still held in that regard. I don't know, but here it's not. Everyone plays with everyone, and the courses do their best to try. Well, make it is accessible.
Now. It is now. It wasn't always like that.
That's what I'm saying.
I know from growing up as a kid in Dublin, there was only a couple of public golf courses that we could really play. Unless you were unless you came from money and could join a golf club, you were pretty much playing in the public golf courses. But that's changed now. A lot of these amazing golf courses around Ireland are now letting people come in and making it affordable and making it accessible. And that's really only changed over the last 20 years. So, hopefully it gets even better and better. And I'm just glad that we can finally play some of these amazing golf courses that, as I said, growing up as kids, we could never get near.
Yeah, and this is an amazing course you're playing tomorrow. Keith,
well, I hope you're actually... I hope you're right with that one, Brian, because, from my memory, what actually happened there was a lot of the great golf courses that had huge joining fees and then crazy green fees a year, they all collapsed during the recession between 2008 and 2012. And anywhere that anybody joined paying 20 grand or 100 grand to join these courses, that all went away because the golf courses nearly went bust. And what actually happened was that even the likes of the course where I had joined at the time, they just brought in this annual fee that was a nominal fee between maybe 800 and 1,200 quid a year, as opposed to paying 10 or 15,000. I mean, you remember the K Club where they had the Ryder Cup in 2006, a fantastic golf course which is in an incredible condition. I mean, at one stage the membership of the K Club was over 250 grand. That's all gone now. That's all completely quashed, and that all changed and stopped because of the recession of 2008 and 2012. So I just hope now that the economy seems to be more kind of safe or structured.
Stable.
I hope that they don't start moving back to the way that they were and pushing those prices back up again, making those joining. There's a joining fee now of 10 grand, and then it's 1,500 quid a year. It's that's what's going to stop the kids of today being able to access these fantastic golf courses. If they keep it to the way that it went because of the recession, it makes it affordable for young kids coming through to play these great golf courses. But if these clubs get greedy and push the prices back up to 100, 200 grand, I mean, it's going to go back to the way it was before.
Yeah,
so we just have to hope that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout, and a really good analysis of the situation as well. And I think too, maybe the more urban an area is, you see an awful lot of that. But it's true, we don't want to see people being gouged just because there's a bit of money amongst some washing about. Keith, firstly, one other question. Sorry, what handicap do you play off? And maybe you'll talk to us a little bit about the format tomorrow.
Well, the World Index now that's been going for the last few years. I mean, I still think it's going to take another few years for that to level itself out. I still feel, I play with different people all the time, and I still feel that it's people are not using it appropriately. Yeah, you're supposed to be taking your casual golf scores and putting them in every time you play golf. Put your GUI handicap in. You put in your golf registration number, and even casual golf now, you're supposed to be recording your scores. And I feel a lot of people are not doing that because they don't want to mess around with their handicap, So I personally play off 9.6, and me and the group of guys I play golf with, we put in our scores for every single game that we play, whether it's at our home club or whether we're going to visit each other's clubs. And that does give you a very good average handicap for the way that your game is played. It's your best 8 games out of your past 20 games. But I do feel, and I know for a fact, a lot of people are not putting in their scores, and that World Index is never going to be accurate. It's never going to work properly unless everybody is abiding by the guidelines and putting in their average score, even if it's not competition, even if it's just friendly golf with your mates. Put in every round of golf score.
I think we all know. I think anyone who plays golf with other people all knows someone that massages the handicap a little bit. That's a bit protective of it.
I massaged mine the wrong way around. I was playing off 5-6 months ago, and I'm up to 10.3 now. Right. So maybe I shouldn't have been handing
Okay, well, no, but at least it's going to be more reflective, and Keith will feel that, it's a fair fight, I think. But talk to me about the format tomorrow, because there are lots of people have bought tickets already, of course, and more will be buying them today because we do everything at the last minute in this country and this country. So what's the format for tomorrow?
Well,
then?
There's two events going on at the same time. So it's a general pro-am. So you'll have one of the professionals, one of the legends, a celebrity, and then 2 amateurs playing together as a team. So that's one team event. But within that then, each celebrity in the group has to play their own ball and keep their own score. And basically, from all those celebrities, the winner tomorrow qualifies to go out and try and beat Keith in the grand final in the Seychelles.
I mean,
so there's a couple of events going on. But you know what? I have to say, it's great crack though, because a lot of the celebrities that are there and the sports stars and stuff like that, they're all good fun, and as well, you're playing, you're following around the likes of Paul McGinley and some of these great legends who they still chat to everyone, they still get involved, they're still very entertaining. And it is a good day out, and let's just hope the rain stays off and we'll have a dry good day as well.
Well, your pressure's off you, Keith, with having already been qualified, so you'll be more cracked tomorrow maybe than normal, will you?
Yeah, there's no pressure on me at all, but look, you know what, we're still very competitive, and we'll have our own little game on the day, so it will be important that that I try to play the best I can. I mean, the format is great because although you're playing your own ball out to the end, the drive, you can use the professionals' drive, or you can use the pros' drive, but you have to play out your own ball.
No, we can't. We can't. Not in our format. We can't. You're forgetting. We have to play our own ball tomorrow.
Oh God. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
I better go practice. I better go and practice my drives.
A lot of these pro-ams though, you can use the best drive, and then you play out your other ball to keep the movement going quickly. But yeah, Brian is right. As of the celebrity series now, we have to play our own ball, which is fine because I'm a great driver of the ball.
It's not good for me. I'm gonna have to bring plenty of spare balls. So, if anyone would like to make a donation of some lake balls, I'd gladly take it.
But you're so well used to it at this stage, though. But I think even if for those who play golf, even if you play with a good player, a particularly good player that you don't normally play with, there's an awful lot of pressure early on in these type of events. Especially that first drive or whatever, Brian. I mean, there is a bit of pressure because it is a very individual sport. You are playing the course, but there's eyes on you, and you don't want to be that person that scuffs it.
Yeah, I don't feel any pressure because I thought myself a long time ago when I first played in the Dunhill Links, and it was a big crowd watching, and I kind of got into my head. I need to think of it this way: everybody's expecting you to be absolutely rubbish. So if you hit a bad tee shot, that's what they're expecting. But if you hit a good one, then you're going to get a round of applause and they're going to think you're great. So it's a kind of a win-win. They're expecting you to be rubbish, so if it's good, you get away with it. It's grand.
Do you know what?
That's in my head for every shot.
That's actually something you could adapt to a lot of things in life, I think.
Sure, I do it in singing as well.
Yeah. Keith, thanks very much for joining us. Good luck tomorrow, and I'm sure you're going to have a lovely time. And the weather's looking good, and the course is in just absolute perfect condition. And there's already kind of a real buzz around the area. So you're going to love it, of course. But it's going to be great to have you up here in Donegal.
We're so looking forward to it. And Brian has been spoiled over his life because all his family, I mean, there's more McFaddens in Donegal than there is in the rest of the world. You know what I mean? So anytime we're up that part of the world, the hospitality is amazing because every single person we meet tells us they're Brian's cousin, and it's all good. Yeah. It's a beautiful part of the world. So I'm looking forward to coming up there. I'm picking up Jim Gavin on my way, and I'm bringing Jim. Jim won Rossapena last year. Jim qualified for Mauritius by winning Rossapena last year, so I'm bringing the legend that is Jim Gavin up with me now this afternoon. We'll have a nice meal with Brian. I think my son Jay's coming with me too.
Lovely.
No doubt we'll have a couple of beers in the bar, and have a nice early night so we're fresh in the morning.
Yeah, Jim's gonna have to do it in front of a crowd this year, though. We didn't do it in front of a crowd last year, so we'll see if that affects his form.
Oh yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, there's a crowd this year.
Yeah, so that's
look, you know what? It's a great day out for everybody. It's a great weekend for everybody. But tomorrow's format's a great day out for everybody. So we look forward to meeting and greeting everybody on the golf course tomorrow.
Well done, Keith. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. It's been great having you on the programme. Best of luck for the week.
Yeah, thanks a million.
All
See you later.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Okay, that's Brian McFadden, formerly of Westlife. Keith Duffy, formerly of Boys Zone. Together they are Boys Life, or West Zone. Boys Life. Lovely couple of lads. You can go along and watch that tomorrow, by the way. It's as part of this exciting festival of golf. You have the chance to soak up the atmosphere of the Celebrity Series, where famous names from the world of sport and entertainment will take part in their own Pro-Am tournaments, such as Steve Staunton, another legend, Brendan O'Carroll, Keith Duffy, Brian, as we mentioned there, Daniel O'Donnell is going to be there. Amateur golfers who've already been selected, then they'll have their opportunity to play as a legend in the Allianz Series under full tournament conditions. conditions while experiencing the lifestyle of a professional golfer against the stunning backdrop of Donegal. Now, spectator tickets are still available, with adult season and daily tickets starting at €15 and €10 respectively. You can bring the young ones along under the age of 16 for free. Their admittance is free to all 3 events. Tickets will be available at the day, and there's plenty of parking and stewards, so you can just drive up to towards Carragart, towards Downings. You'll see the signs there. You can turn up on the day, but if you want to, you can also book in advance to guarantee admission. Tickets.legendstour.com. It's a fantastic event for the entire county, and you can see the crack that will be had. All right, we'll be back with more on the programme after a piece of music. Okay, don't know what that is because what it's supposed to be, it's listed wrong on the computer. But anyway, we'll crack on the programme. I think we can say hello now to Martin Mannering, Chair of the Irish Electric Bicycle Association and co-founder of Geoco Electric Transport, or GoCo, I believe it is. Good morning, Martin. Can you hear me okay? Hello, Martin. Okay, I'm not sure Martin can hear me, but we're certainly joined by Conall Shovlin, who owns an e-bike, because that's what we're going to be talking about now. Conall, good morning to you. You are there.
Good morning, Greg. Yes, here.
Good to have you with us. Right, you are not an early adapter, maybe a midpoint adapter. You've been riding an e-bike now for over 3 years, haven't you?
Yeah, it's very good. As the saying goes, it's a wonder the e-bikes weren't thought of before now. Like, that took us so long, because they're relatively simple, you know, and they do suit Donegal an awful lot, like, because of the hills, and they're so easy to pedal, like, and they're not like the racing bikes you see on the road. They're very suitable for any age group, you know.
In relation to that, how much of it is, like, are you still getting exercise on an e-bike? How much of it is your power versus the battery power?
Well, they're very adaptable in that respect. There's 5 levels of assist on it, depending on what one you want to use, you know. So you're going to get 5 levels of exercise depending on what you want, you know. But, you know, when you go into the steep hills in Donegal, when you get to my age, you want maybe a higher level of assist, you know. But even at that, I mean, I could go on this bike from here to Donegal and back, you know, and that's pretty good, like. And it's you never have to get off it, you know. And I think and you can go at whatever rate you want. You can go slow, you can go fast, and So it's, as you say, it's surprising it wasn't thought of years ago, because of,
I think it's
transport
I
mode.
think it's the battery technology that really has changed, though, because other than the battery pack on the frame, they look, to all intents and purposes, most of them look like a regular road bike.
Yeah, you're right there. I suppose there's the batteries, because you see power tools and everything. The battery's no bigger than a standard sliced loaf, like on the bike, and it'll take you that far. It'll take a person, that my weight, say of 13 stone, it'll move you from here to down low and back. It's pretty good,
Where's here though? You could be in Burton Port. Where is here to you?
Well, you need a second battery then, like a spare wheel, but there are people around here, that they're getting more popular, and surprisingly how popular they are getting. But I think the big thing is that there are a lot of green cycleways open now. There's one in Mayo. I was on it on an ordinary bike, but there's also another new one open in Limerick, and there's one open in Waterford. But Donegal has the best, probably the whole narrow gauge railways have the best cycle lanes that could be adapted anywhere in Ireland, because it's through such scenic area from Letterkenny to Burton Port.
Well, there's a bit of work being done on that. It seems that certainly the Burton Port to Letterkenny cycleway is going to happen. Stay with me, Conal, because Martin Mannering, chair of the Irish Electric Bicycle Association, joins us now. Martin, good morning to you. I can't hear you. You're just going to have to unmute yourself there, Martin. Sorry. The thing that's happened, I think, is an awful lot of emphasis from government and other organisations to talk about electric cars. And yes, there is an uptake now, not as quick as people might like, but it's there. But what's been happening also is people themselves, and through word of mouth, I think, have caught on to e-bikes. And e-bike sales globally are absolutely huge at the moment. I think, Martin, that's people are making their own choice, and a lot of them, where they can, are switching to the e-bike.
Well, yeah, I mean, the e-bike thing isn't new. I mean, the first e-bikes were developed in 1942, so there's around a long, long time. That's also the argument for e-cars as well. They've been around since the early 70s. But the one thing that has happened, I think, public opinion is an awful there's a big following with public opinion when it comes around, and it's an awful thing when it comes to industry, because most people tend to do what most people tend to do. It's a strange thing. And I've been working away. I mean, it was 27 years ago when I was at the ploughing championship selling electric bikes in Ireland. I was listening to your caller there. It's very interesting, because the size of the e-bikes, and they look like normal bicycles now. Well, they look like Honda 50s then, and they had 55 kilo batteries, like the lead battery in your car. So there was always the sort of the enthusiast or the person that needed an electric bike. But what's really interesting now is I set the Irish Electric Bike Association up 11 years ago, and now, of course, you're getting the government that are starting to take heed of this, and the greenways are starting to happen. But it's because the people want this. And once people want something, then the government, all of a sudden, it's a very topical thing for them to get involved with.
Cost-wise, it's an interesting one, because even for a non-electric bike, you can pay thousands of euro, depending on the bike. E-bikes, I've seen them ranging from €700 or €800 upwards, right? But what price is an entry-level e-bike? And I think it's worth noting too that the Cycle to Work scheme, e-bikes do qualify, and there is a discount there. So what is a sort of a medium price for a good e-bike, Martin?
Okay, well, this is a really interesting subject, and at the Bicycle Engineering Academy, we've just developed the first e-bike program in the world. Actually, it's nice to hear that we are leading an industry from Ireland, and it's in bicycle mechanics education, and those courses exist now here. And the main reason is, Carol, what we see a huge tsunami coming very soon of substandard e-bikes. And this is happening, unfortunately. I mean, there is really good ones around. They've been around for a long time, European-based built bikes normally. But to answer your question, if you buy an e-bike for 700, 800, 900 euros, then you will be in trouble fairly quickly. I mean, a good e-bike battery, to be perfectly honest, is 700 or 800 euros on its own, but it will have that long tenure. I certainly have customers or clients with 10, 12-year-old bikes coming in for servicing with original batteries. But I do see a really large onslaught of bikes coming into me that are only 18 months old, and they've already got problems. So it is buyer beware, and it is you get what you pay for. If something sounds too good to be true, certainly €2,000 would be the entry level for a good European bike. Don't get duped by the price, because you do want this to be a lifestyle investment.
Yeah, okay. You'd agree, Connell?
Yeah, that's my bike was around that. It's a giant e-bike, and it's very good. It's light too, and it's very easy to handle. It's and as I say, all age groups can use them. It's just surprising, how I'd say it's going to take off very much in cities and everything where roads journeys are short and they're flat. And
you know what that means, though, don't you?
Same as Holland,
That means the government's going to have to try and make some money out of these things.
Yeah, which what I mean? There's so many ways of rating tax. It depends.
Martin, what's your view?
Yeah, I was going to comment on that now, because the Transport Committee are finally starting to recognise us as a body and professionals in this field. We were a bit of a joke before, but now it's starting to become a very important thing. There's a law. There's an electric bicycle law, and I do now. Unfortunately for others, but fortunately for Ireland, I now work as an expert witness too in legal cases when there's accidents involving e-bikes. And there is a law. It's called 19154. It's an EN directive, and we are still part of Europe, unlike the UK. So we do tend to have to abide by the things if we want to be there. So when the law exists, it would be fairly reckless, I think, by the Irish government, even though they might want to step outside of that. So an electric bike is a bicycle under law when it falls into the category of the specifications. Of course, above those specifications, it's called a motorcycle,
okay.
And then it will abide by the law.
Now, Connell Shovlin, thank you so much for your time. Happy cycling. We're going to be a minute late to the news because people are texting, because I mentioned the Cycle to Work scheme. You're familiar with that, of course, Martin. So can we use a €2,000 bike, for example, and if someone is at work and their company does the Cycle to Work scheme, there's no actual outlay for the person at all themselves, as far as I'm aware. The bike and any extra safety gear is included in the scheme.
Yeah, it works very simply, Cathal, and I'll be quick because I know you want to get to the news. The new rules are €1,250 tax-free, so you don't get taxed on that money to buy a bike. Anything above that, you contribute. It's €1,500 for electric. So you have to foot the bill above and beyond €1,500, but up to that, you can, for once, get yourself some tax-free money out of your income. So the government can't touch that €1,500 before it goes into your pocket.
Right. Okay. So what kind of a discount do you get in a €2,000 bike for that scheme?
Oh, well, if you're on the higher tax bracket, you'll actually save 54% of that €1,500.
Right.
That first €1,500.
Okay, and then I think it's deducted weekly or monthly from your salary thereafter. So you can get on an e-bike dependent on your company if you use that scheme.
Yeah, e-bikes, let's be clear, e-bikes are absolute. There's no differentiation between e-bikes and bicycles or tricycles, come to that.
Okay, thanks for your time today.
Very welcome.
Have a lovely day. Okay, it is 11:02. My apologies. Just wanted to get those questions answered for our listeners. It's time for a news update, and good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A report has found the Western Investment Fund, which was established in 2002, has generated a return of almost 2.5 times its original value. It's administered by the Western Development Commission. Having started with almost 32 million, the fund is now worth 73 million. It's been self-financing since 2010. Investment manager Gillian Buckley says 20 Donegal projects have been supported by the fund, and it's made a very real difference to local businesses and communities. The Irish Patients Association says the HSC needs to delegate authority to someone with overall accountability for managing hospital waiting lists across the country. The IPA has published figures which show that in the month of July, Letterkenny University Hospital had the worst rating in the country where waiting times are concerned. It took 11.7 months to see a consultant and over 21 months to see a consultant and have surgery. Stephen McMahon of the IPA says it's a serious situation. He says it's exacerbated by the fact that while we have access to figures, we don't have access to the stories behind them. A staffing crisis in the ambulance services poses a serious risk to its ability to deliver urgent and emergency care. That's according to a HSE report which says there is a critical and immediate need to increase workforce capacity. SIPTU says it is willing to be flexible in upcoming public sector pay talks with the government. It comes as Public Expenditure Minister Michael McGrath said he is prepared to make an improved offer to unions ahead of the next budget. SIPTU's Deputy General Secretary welcomes that, but he says they need to hear it directly from the government. He says so far that's not been communicated to them. A person is due in court after a Garda operation in Ballybofey yesterday following numerous reports of a car being driven dangerously in the area. In a social media post after the incident, Gardaí said when the vehicle was located, it was established the driver had neither a licence nor insurance. The driver was arrested on suspicion of drink driving. And €500,000 in CLAR funding has been announced for 10 community projects in Donegal. Sports clubs, schools and community groups will receive grants of up to €50,000 to develop a wide and diverse range of community facilities. The successful projects include outdoor cinemas, astroturf, sensory gardens, hurling walls, basketball courts, walkways, public toilets and community gyms. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Okay, Donald, thank you very much indeed. Now we're reeling in your ears here now, because each day we're going to play a snippet from a hit from the 60s or 70s along with a piece from a movie and the news. We're inviting you to let us know the year in which all three came from. It's in association with our friends at Specsavers Hearing. They're offering you the chance to win tickets to Christy Moore live in Donegal this September, plus €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel Bundoran. Now, Specsavers Hearing have experts audiologists available in your local Specsavers store. So if you've concerns about your hearing, you can book a free hearing test using the PSI entitlements, and Specsavers Hearing will arrange a hearing aid uniquely tailored to you. It is one of those things, some of us, and maybe even particularly dependent on your gender, that we put off. And you want to be able to hear the world as you once had before. If you have some hearing loss, get along to Specsavers Hearing and they will hook you up. Right, okay, this is a free competition for you to enter. We'll have a daily winner, each receiving a Highland Radio goodie bag. All 5 go into the hat on Friday. One of you will win tickets to Christy Moore live in Donegal this September, plus a €400 voucher for the Great Northern. All you have to do is identify this year.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You're beginning to get on my nerves. Who are those guys?
So we don't need the individual elements of it, just the year. It's free to enter on WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000. Give us the year, your name, where you're from, and thanks to Specsavers Hearing, you could win those tickets to Christy Moore and that voucher. Brendan Devaney is going to be joining us in a bit, looking forward to the DL debate, which is broadcast for you tonight and reflecting on the weekend sport.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Park Run has taken my running to the next level. It's a good opportunity to catch up and meet friends and make new friends as well. It's how I got introduced into the local running club. Just knowing it's there every week, no matter what stage you're at. I find it's a much healthier approach to running. I'm Dave and I'm a park runner.
VHI believes Park Run is more than running. That's why we're their biggest supporter. Join us every week at your local Park Run.
Patterson's The Halliford, one of Ireland's largest kitchen and interior showroom. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Kitchens, beds, mattresses, furniture and garden furniture, all under one roof. 50% off our ex-display kitchens. Everything you need to make your house a home at Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Halliford.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Want to take your culinary skills to the next level? The Certificate in Culinary Skills and the Higher Certificate in Culinary Arts from Atlantic Technological University, Donegal, are based at state-of-the-art facilities in Killybegs. These courses are fully funded through Springboard. Apply now before the 1st of September. Visit lyit.ie/springboard. The future is here. Springboard Plus is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
The Birth Information and Tracing Act is now here. People adopted, boarded out, or the subject of an illegal birth registration can access their birth information where available from October. A contact preference register has been established to enable these people and those connected to them to register their preference in relation to future contact with relatives. This is an important issue for many, and an information booklet has been delivered to homes across Ireland. Visit birthinfo.ie to find out more.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Dogs, cats, rabbits, birds and fish. Some of the popular home pets that need care and attention every day. At Gary's Pet World, our fully trained staff are here to help you and your pets. We offer great advice and value on all foods, accessories, grooming and care products, with incredible offers on all leading brands. Shop in store at Gary's Pet World, Letterkenny Retail Park, open 7 days per week, or browse and buy 24/7 at petworld.ie.
Back to school is just around the corner, and at Letterkenny Shopping Centre you'll find all your back to school essentials under one roof. Get everything you need to kit them out for the new school term, from shoes and stationery to backpacks and lunchboxes. Back to school shopping made easy at Letterkenny Shopping Centre.
For me, it started with the specially selected Parma ham from Aldi. So silky, so melt in the mouth. You'll speak Italian after it. What about the specially selected sourdough cob? Irish, so you'll still sound Irish after eating that. And don't even get me started on the lime basil and mandarin hand and body lotion. Shame you can't smell it over the radio. All this choice starts with Aldi. Every day amazing.
All right, some of your comments have been really busy this Monday morning. Thanks so much for that. Maybe I should get a flat tire more often. No, it's always busy, in fairness. I heard a listener ring in last week asking about the back-to-school allowance. I myself am waiting 6 weeks for it for one secondary school child. Is there a hold-up with it? Time is ticking. I may not get what's needed for my child. So anyone have an update on the back-to-school allowance? A couple of listeners have hold-ups. Is it individual to them? Is it, or have any of you received it? Another caller says, dogs should not be allowed off a lead on public path areas. This is the way owners avoid picking up dog poo, pretending they don't see it or that the dog is not with them. Leaded dogs on public roads would go a long way to ensure all owners clean up. The fear of being on a tube, not picking up the poo, and the fine, lead the dogs on public roads. That coming in from Eva there. And I think it is important to clarify again, and maybe it's one of those things that goes without saying. We're talking about a minority of dog owners that would knowingly let their dog poo in a footpath and not pick it up. You know, it's not dog owners as a whole. Most dog owners, certainly any dog owners I know, would not be involved in that kind of activity. A caller says, I am a very liberal person, but I've come across period videos, I presume it's sanitary product videos on TikTok that have shocked me. Knowledge is power and there's no shaming having your period, but these videos are very graphic and I would even say scary. If my nieces saw them, they would be terrified. Okay, well listen, maybe it's something that requires further conversation. Keep your comments coming in on the adverts because the majority that have texted in at the moment think that maybe some of them aren't age appropriate or go out at the wrong times or are too graphic in their content. Brendan Devaney's presenter of the DL debate. He joins us right now. Brendan, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Very best, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Right. You are prepping for another episode of the DL debate. Right. All the action local, all the action club level, the focus this week.
Yeah, certainly. We look across to our neighbours in Derry as well. Michael McMullen's going to be coming on. We're going to look around Ulster a bit, just see what's happening in the championship. But as you said, the main focus on our own championships here. Senior kicked off at the weekend there, Greg, and kicked off with not maybe the greatest of shows, some poor games and a couple of decent games. Killy Biggs, Glenfin, and St Michael's, and Niamh Conall was the pick of them. Seen a couple of games, and they weren't much outside. A few missed matches, weren't much outside of league fare. So listen, talking to Michael McMullen, he was saying Derry, the average win-in margin was 12 points in Derry.
Right.
So a lot of mismatches going on there. A couple of teams there's a collective of teams that are just pulling away from other sides. We've seen it here in Donegal also. So he's saying the championship won't really kick off to quarter-final stage.
Is that just the way it's going to be, Brendan? That, maybe down to population or management or organisation, that you are just going to get, breakaway club teams?
Yeah, I think from years ago, if you look at the top clubs now in a lot of, say, underage coaching, or again, we spoke about this about All Ireland, the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a team that can win a championship, it means that everybody's going to buy in and play and be there. By and large, you'll always get bits and pieces of maybe immigration or different things, or people will just, come to a certain stage in life where they're not going to. But if that card's dangling, it certainly would make it buy in. And I suppose Kilcar, St Eunan's, and Gweedore, 3 massive ones at the weekend. It was almost no contest stuff.
What does that mean, do you think? Is that just the way it is? Has it always been like that? Because, next thing is, and I think particularly for the young players, and I don't want to upset anyone, but, if there's a lot of commitment at any level, really, to play for your club team. What I'm trying to get at here is, are we going to start seeing DNFs? Do you know what I mean? If younger players think they don't stand a chance, or they're on a hiding to nothing or something, is it going to be hard for even, historically big clubs, in inverted commas, to have a full squad of players to field, if you can't, certainly, we're in those dark days of the league, as opposed to, or even, the club championship?
I think there's probably a change, coming with the next generation of footballers. All right, I'm hearing different stories now, even talking to Phil this morning about 17, 8-year-olds who were being put into a senior team, and they upped the training, and a few lads kind of walked away from them. That it's a bit scary to hear things like that, Greg. I don't know, is a lot of our young ones now, there seems to be so much other things happening out there that years ago when you thought about it, you take your average GA team, you trained in a couple of times during the weekend. At the weekend, that was your focus. There seems to be so much other focuses can be going on, with particularly with their youth coming through now, and I don't know, as you say, is that going to be a big thing going forward? The commitment levels is so large, and is it going to put some people off? I think it is. I think already anecdotally with soccer in this county Donegal League level now, Greg, you hear loads of teams aren't training much.
What happens, what I've seen happen there is you have a cohort of good players that can move between clubs in the soccer. So you might have a local club that was very good at one time, a couple of good players transfer to another team, half a season of getting their backsides whipped, and next thing the best players move on to another team that they move around. We're not going to see that necessarily in GEA, but it does happen, and you effectively have the one good team playing under a different name from season to season. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Or how I describe it,
I think what's separating the difference in Gaelic is it's all in. You don't have, I've heard of quite a few managers at local level soccer where boys have said, listen, I'll play for you on a Sunday. I might be at training one night, I might not. And that's
make a call.
Do you want it or you're not? Whereas Gaelic, the manager demand a certain, but I'm just wondering, as things go up and up now, is it enough to turn an odd person off? It's hard to say at this point, Greg, but certainly there is. We got to probably look how we look at championship different now. I mean, to me, what I seen at the weekend there, that's not championship. A lot of it isn't championship, not the way it used to be.
What does that mean then?
It used to be like blood and guts, and people get stuck in, and there would be a real tension and atmosphere.
It meant everything.
Yeah, no, I know that will come. I just think maybe I like everybody else, you got to think, hold on, this is group stages of the championship. It's not what you call real championship, because it's played at a different pace, and it's keep ball and it's what have you. Probably, as I say, there was 2 good games in the weekend, but that was out of all the senior matches,
So when does the championship start then?
Well, I guess that's what I was talking to Mal about on the way up here. He reckons in Derry, no one's waiting for any fireworks to the quarter final. I mean, there might be an odd thing in there. You have 2 sides to draw, you see. So outside of Niamh Conall, a lot of other sides the bigger sides was on one side of the draw. So depending on how it goes now, Niamh Conall are playing actually Killybegs this week, which they're missing quite a few players against Glenspillies. Now, if they should struggle there, they're playing one of the bigger sides potentially after that. So you might get an odd interesting game in there as the group stages goes on. But by and large, we're probably looking at the quarterfinals now. Whether that's good enough for some of the teams in there, I'm not sure, Greg, because there's a few sides that are in the hiding to nothing, particularly when they play the bigger teams. I'm just wondering, is it the way the championship needs to be? Is there too many teams in it? Because there's certainly a big gap between.
So how do you select who's in a championship if there are too many teams in it? Are you on about like qualifying? Is that not what groups are for?
The way the championship used to be, with the home and away, and there was a potential third game, and then you went quarters, semis, and final. Be honest, I'd be happy enough for that again, because if you have one game like that, one home game, and you just give it your all, if you go down fighting, you go down fighting, and whatever happens in the away leg, and if you're not able, you're not able then, and concentrate in the league and trying to build from there. I don't think these group stages in the championship work, because I've seen enough now the last couple of years, Greg, to say it doesn't happen to quarters anyway when the better teams are there. So it may as well be, let people have a go in the first round or whatever, but let it get into those stages pretty quick. It would cut out a lot of the time as well, Greg. I'd be happy enough with that. That's the championship that I used to love. It's the one I played in, and we had a brilliant time playing it, and it was proper championship, and we're definitely missing that now.
Right. And just finally, before we move on then and talk more about what's on the programme, would a prospective county manager have a say on this, if you know what I mean, in terms of, like, can you spot a really, really, really good player in a bad team through this format?
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, you would need to get out and see them, but again, the championship level, I think the club championship level at the speed it's played at versus the county is a very different thing. But by and large, a player will stand out. I mean, there does be all I suppose trials where different groups from the county, we used to have them years ago, where they come and play each other. But by and large, people know people in the county. But I certainly think the new manager should engage with all. As many games as you can, and the managers around there. And if you even think someone, is worth a look, could do a job, it's something that I think there would be merit in, particularly with a new man coming in, to have a fresh look right across it. But by and large, I suppose any good player coming up has probably played underage with Donegal and is somewhere and should be playing well for his club, that it should be pretty noticeable. I didn't play underage, but there was probably a few reasons on my side for that. One of them probably I wasn't good enough, I think, certainly when I was a minor anyway, but as I got a wee bit older, I was playing a bit of soccer and different things. So it's not to say everybody will fall through that there path, but certainly.
So what was the gap for you as a younger player? Was it fitness then, or what? Attitude?
Talent.
I'll
admit it now before you say it.
I'm not.
No, listen.
No, I know what to have.
I was born a bad time of year.
I know, but I also know what to have a bit of a joke with someone on. But I ain't going to joke with you on your sports history. There's not a chance of that.
I was born the 9th of December, right?
Yeah.
Terrible time for a GAA boy, So I wouldn't mind. I can't remember anybody ever asking for my birth cert. I probably should have just bluffed it from day one. I was born the 9th of January. Would have been better, But listen, that's just one of those things. Greg, as I say, when I got there about 21, I was on a squad kind of the year before my age group then again. But by the following year, I was playing about by harps and that. It was different then when we were growing up. You were playing both, and that was it.
That was still controversial enough, though.
Yeah.
It was you playing both was a topic of conversation.
Was it? I wasn't there at the time. What was being said?
Well, I can't remember exactly, but I do remember it being a conversation. Like.
Yeah. It took its toll, Greg. At the time, I kind of felt a bit indestructible. I've had a few injuries since, but I would have played on a Saturday night for harps, there, and then played with Donegal on a Sunday, which was, probably not the thing to be at for the longevity of things like your hips and that. But listen, that was then.
Yeah, a caller says young people are leaving and clubs are fading away, which is sad. It is possible if we slip into a recession that young people are but we've been through that before and the game survived. Was something different this time, or is it just part of a cycle?
Yeah, I think as a caller saying that there is something happening. I'm hearing bits and pieces of it, Greg. Now the only thing is that when you're playing for your GA team, for your parish, whatever, there's a different thing that if we're talking against, say, the soccer world, and you have a lot of people, sons and family involved in it, and there is a different element of it which buys everybody in. My fear is, to say, for some of those teams that aren't at the competing level, that are in our championship now. I mean, I'm just looking at a couple of sides there from the weekend. You know, going back to training now on Tuesday night. I don't even want to name them because they're all doing their best. Yeah. But Greg, it must be very tough for them to go back now and say, right, who are we playing next? And if they're playing a team that's somewhere near them, we can have a cut. But if we're playing with other teams, it's another hammering session. And I don't see what the point in maybe some of that is. It's a wee bit like the argument that's gone on for ages at our All Ireland series.
But it's not enough then to sort of play your 150% of your capability, even if it's not enough for, you know, parish pride.
Yeah,
that, you know, rather than success. I mean, are we too success focused then? Are we saying that? I mean, obviously it's a results based game, but are we saying that's the be all and end all, and that if you're not getting the results, then you're not going to keep the.
Well, if they want to keep such a high number of championship teams, there nearly almost has to be a secondary competition. Like people might say there's intermediate, there's junior, whatever. But I think some of these teams are above that. It's just the other teams have pulled away. Now you often have competitions there where there's a shield, or there's maybe something then for that lower group of teams to actually play off and maybe win something. That's what I think. Greg, having been involved in teams for so long, it must be terrible to be at a team thinking, right, we might win another couple of games and stay in senior there, and that's the be all and end all of your season. There has to be something more to aim for, I think, for these sides. You know?
Do you know, finally, actually it's interesting, it's not relating to any of this, it must be really tough for a good player in their parish who may feel they have to move away either for work or maybe they want to just experience life, whatever it might be. There must be a lot of pressure with the way, you know, the game is so intertwined with you know what I mean, that they could feel like they're letting down the team or they're letting their mom or dad down, or you know, I would say there's some young lads and girls out there who there's a great deal of pressure to stick around and play football.
Oh, definitely. If you're needed by Greg, listen, if people needed and you're an integral player, that's tough. I mean, Shane Walsh's proposed transfer there, I mean, some of the outpour that was almost grief from a small rural club there, that they were like, because after his brilliant All Ireland performance, of course, it completely put him on this pedestal, and then a week later he's talking about leaving and moving to Dublin because he's working in Dublin and what have you. So yeah, that's a tough one. He said it was only going to be a short-term thing, but that's very difficult to balance that up, particularly if you are someone like him that's so outstanding. You can imagine all the wee people in the club looking up to him, and the next thing he's away in that. So it's it's definitely
like life's tough.
But it's a balance between him trying to live his life 100%. And facilitate the club and all that. That's a tough one.
What do you think of underage league games at the minute, especially ladies? Asks a caller.
In terms of,
I don't know. That's all they asked.
Yeah, well, listen, the ladies obviously is getting great coverage. Our own ladies, your heart goes out to them this year. You're so close to having an All Ireland final appearance, and I think the exposure that the ladies is getting now, and kind of the attitude of our ladies, you know, they're such a great bunch of girls. Everything they get involved in, there's a real promotion. And I was saying our contributors that be on there, you know, that their attitude towards promoting the game always seems so. There's such a good will with them, and such a nice way.
You make, actually, yeah.
So I think
they feel like they're almost the custodians of the game and the future of it.
Maureen O'Donnell, her name wouldn't come into my head there. Sorry, Mo.
Well done,
Mo. Shout out to you. But no, even by their attitude, and listen, my sister obviously played in Cap and Donegal and that, but they have such a great way of trying to help the next generation. So I think the ladies' game is on the up and up, and is great for them, because what you were talking about at the very start there, Greg, that bit of, I suppose, his fitness is one thing, but people as they mature and the teams and that, you're always better off being among a group of people. Yeah. There's no doubting, and you make friends, and it helps you, I suppose, grow up, and there's challenges in there and fitness, and I think that can only good, you know.
All right, so Brendan's joined by guests Frank Craig, John Harron, Michael McMullen, did you say?
Michael McMullen, Gaelic Lives coming on.
To discuss all the weekend championship seniors, intermediate and juniors, and I'm sure the conversation will spill into what's happening across Ulster and maybe in where we fit into that context. Okay, so that's the DL debate broadcast tonight after the 7 o'clock news.
That's it.
And it's also available for you to podcast and listen to whenever you want. Brendan, thanks very much indeed. All right, have a great day.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Whoa! Did you see that? She just unfolded her Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4. I didn't know you could have hands-free video calls on a phone and paint a beautiful self-portrait at the same time. And now she's taking selfies while doing her nails. That's mad.
Hands-free video calls and photos with the Galaxy Z Flip 4. A serious flex. Pre-order yours and get a guaranteed €250 off when you trade in any smartphone in any condition at Samsung.com. Pre-order by 25th of August. Your old phone for trade-in required. T's and C's apply.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndonagh, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Tune in this Tuesday to the Community Garda information slot, on air after 10 a.m. on the 9 till noon show in association with Sheridan Security Systems. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Declutter this summer with Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms. Inflation-beating built-in wardrobe special offer. Get a 2-metre-long wardrobe with 2 free mirrors built in for €1,099. Check us out online or book an appointment viewing in our Donegal Town showroom today on 07497 25822. Cherrymore, more bedrooms your way since 1996.
The Irish Legends, presented by McGinley Foundation, returns to Rosapenna Hotel and Golf Resort from the 16th to the 20th of August. Highland Radio will be broadcasting from the event all week. Our coverage comes to you in association with Voices Centra, Kerry, and Downings. Stay local, support local, shop local.
Exam results arriving? Your future starts at Northwest Regional College. Visit our results days to confirm your place or apply for a course at our Derry, Strabane or Limavady campuses. Call 048 7127 6000 or visit nwrc.ac.uk/results. This is Northwest Regional College. This is your future.
The Deal Debate continues this Monday with another packed show. We round up all the GA action of the weekend as the Donegal Senior Football Championship kicks off. We'll have feedback from the big games, and I'll be joined on the show by Donegal News GA correspondent Frank Craig and St Union's record championship winner John Hearn. All this and maybe a bit more just after 7pm news this Monday on Highland Radio and podcasted on highlandradio.com.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love in Sarah's Kitchen.
Okay, our Monday focus is Red Hugh O'Donnell, and who better to join us and talk about it, because he's doing a lot of work in this area, is Brendan Rowan. Good morning to you, Brendan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, thank you.
It is great to have you in.
Thank you very much.
Talk to us a little bit about Red Hugh O'Donnell and I suppose the happenstance really in Spain that has given you an awful lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, I knew a little bit about Red Hugh from history. I didn't know that he was properly known as A. Rua. It's only in the last 100 years we're calling him Red Hugh. But it was really when on Camino, I did the Camino to Santiago de Compostela after I got out of hospital. I'm a cancer patient. And I decided to do that to raise funds for Cancer Care West. But on the Camino, I found myself whistling the melody of Red Hugh O'Donnell as you hear it on Irish radio, 5:30 in the morning. And I didn't know why, but suddenly it was as if I became possessed by the spirit of the band. And I suggested to my new wife, because one of the things I did as a priority was to make sure that I married my relationship partner so that she wouldn't have to suffer the 33% inheritance tax. But I suggested that maybe we would go down to Valladolid and try and find his tomb. And she took this picture of me at the time.
Okay, we'll show our listeners who are watching our social media.
So yeah, she said you're a real.
You look like you're ready for action there.
Well, she said you're a real Don Quixote. But at that point, I just look in the background. There was a red windmill, and I'm thinking of the story of Don Quixote. So I pick up my walking staff and make a pose like with a lance that I'm Don Quixote. But anyway, she agreed, and we went down to Valladolid. So we spent 3 days, or rather I spent 3 days, she enjoyed the city, searching for the tomb of Red Hugh O'Donnell, which really was a wild goose chase. I didn't realise at the time that, until I met the director of archives, that several eminent people over the 300 years, I suppose, had been down there searching, including your own Father Silk, who went searching for him down there and wrote about searching for his grave and about his last will and testament, etc. This is Father Silk, now born in Creasla, actually, where I live, in 1926, and who lived beside me at Portnablagh for many years. He died in 2016. But then I discovered this other poem about this fruitless search by a man called Thomas McCreevy. He was a Kerry poet, took part in the First World War, died in 1967. But he wrote, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the Spanish words that he used because I'll get it wrong, but after that he said, but he never said, and it seemed odd, he never had heard the aspirated name of the centuries dead, bright-haired young man whose grave I sought. All day I passed in greatly built gloom, from the dusty gilt tomb marvellously wrought to tomb rubbing at mouldy inscriptions with fingers wetted with spit and asking where I might find it and failing. Yet when unhurried, not at home, where heroes hanged or buried with non-commissioned officers, bored maledictions, quickly in the jail yard, they brought his blackened body here to rest. Princes came, walking behind it, and all Valladolid knew, and out to Simancas all knew where they buried Red Hugh.
Okay.
So I noticed, I found a plaque on a wall
it's like a treasure map almost, isn't it?
I beg your pardon?
It's almost like a treasure map in a way. I mean, does that clearly state the burial?
No.
Or does it indicate the author had found it and it wasn't recorded? Or
Well, you see, what I have there is an extract from the Annals of the Four Masters,
yes,
written not long after his death. And if you wish, I'll read it in English or Gaelic, but you see it there at the top in Old Gaelic, and there's not many scholars in the country can read that anymore.
What a beautiful language to look at.
It really is, yeah. And I had it translated by Cathal O'Sharkey, one of our foremost Gaelic speakers, into modern Gaelic, and then you see it there translated into English. I'll read either if you wish.
Well, for the general audience, the majority would understand English, I think.
Yes, okay. So what it says in the Annals of the Four Masters about his funeral, his death and funeral, it was in the palace of the King of Spain himself in the town of Simancas he died. His body was then taken to Valladolid, to the King's court in a four-wheeled hearse with great numbers of state officers, of the council and of the royal guard all around it, with blazing torches and bright flambeaux of beautiful wax lights blazing all around on each side of it. He was buried after that in the chapter of the monastery of St. Francis with great honour and respect, in the most solemn manner any Gael ever before had been interred. Masses and many hymns, chants and sweet canticles were offered for the welfare of his soul, and his requiem was celebrated as was fitting his nobility.
Okay.
So that really inspired what we're doing now. But at the time, I happened to meet a man who I didn't realise he could speak English, and he saw my plight in trying to search for this, and he said, "Wild Goose Chase, we know approximately where the monastery of St. Francis was. We don't know where the Chapel of Marvels, as they called it later." But he sent me to the director of archives. But one of the things I said to him before I left, I said, it may not be about maybe 1 million Irish people or less who might have a vague interest, but what about 41 million Americans who want to trace their Irish roots? And to me, Red Hugh is as significant a character in Irish history as Michael Collins was, because they were both about achieving the same thing. And anyway, what I did say to him was, after I said that, he sent me to the director of archives, as I said, and then from there I went on to Simancas Castle. So I was able to stand in the King's Chapel where he passed away. Now, what you're looking at there is actually a depiction of the bedside scene of Christopher Columbus. And they were buried beside each other, in different times, of course, but in the same chapel and beside each other. So I was standing then in the chapel in Samancas in...
Can I just ask, in that moment, you talked of, as you whistled, something happened in terms of a connection, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Was that confirmed standing in that room? Did that sense, improve or harden, or did you go, right, I've been brought here? I don't want to be too romantic about it, but I'm curious.
No. I was very aware that I was standing in the place where it said that he signed his last will and where he passed away.
Yes.
Because with his passing was a watershed in Irish history for which we've been suffering ever since on this island, And in fact, that very night, I had moved away to Burgos, and I dreamt about him that night. And I woke at 5 a.m, and sometimes when the first line or two of a poem are in my head, if I can get to a bit of paper, the whole poem falls in its entirety, complete on the page. And I wrote just such a poem.
Wow. Okay, give us it.
So it's called Seeking, Never Finding, and it really sounds like the melody from Spancel Hill, if you like. So last night as I lay dreaming, I dreamt of you, Red Hugh. We'd stepped aboard our sailing yacht and set off just like you. Landing at Corona, we walked that 80k along that same Camino route they call St. James's Way. I thought of all the battles I had fought in word and deed. Like you, I sought no quarter, no counsel would I heed. I'd learned the art of warfare. I'm game for every test. Fianogluck to the backbone, I hardly stopped for rest. 'Twas on the 21st of June, from early dawn of day, I searched each lead, each alleyway, that I might not betray my Irish friends awaiting for news of where is hid the resting place of heroes somewhere in Valladolid. You're not alone there, Amy boy. Another quest in mind, I crossed the wild Atlantic once, the new world there to find. My namesake laid a path for us, which Columbus followed through. He's buried there not far from you, and likewise he's lost too. When asked a simple question, how long do you have here, and why you've come among us, I realized, if near the reaper is to taking me, I'll set off with a will, and hope to die in this fine town, my destiny fulfill. So lay my bones in rich red earth like Christopher and Hugh, no marker put above my grave, 'cause we're not there, that's true. We're chasing other dragons, we're sailing other seas. You'll find us in your own sweet dreams, so enjoy your own dis-ease.
Okay, that's beautiful. So in terms of the lost tomb, does it remain lost? Is it there but covered? Was it there but gone?
Well, we know now that it was there because the excavation that was carried out in 2020, and I mean, such credit is owed to the city and the people of Valladolid for carrying out such a thing in the middle of the pandemic with no help from anyone in Ireland. But they did find where they managed to pinpoint the Chapel of Wonders or the Chapel of Marvels. And they did find 17, I think it was, skeletons, but they didn't find any that matched the DNA of the O'Donnells. And I mean, there are
so they really pursued this. This wasn't just a light touch to keep you off their back.
And the problem, to answer your question fully, is that most of the chapel is underneath the Santander Bank. So they were faced with either taking it down or carrying out very extensive, expensive excavations.
But an important thing has happened, if not for now. That has been logged, presumably. So whatever might happen in the future, and we know anything can happen in the future, it might be in 100 years' time, 200 years' time, but someone, because of the work that you have done, will pick up your work and establish the tomb of Red Hugh O'Donnell. So the work, I think 90% of the work has been done. The 10% remains for someone when something happens or whatever might. Are you satisfied with that?
I'm very happy that the resting place has been pinpointed and that they carried out the excavations as best they could in their time. So I think it's for another time or another generation to pursue it further and to find the actual resting place, which I'm sure is just maybe 10 or 12 metres
I'm sure you
further
have found
in.
it. I just think maybe because of building and concrete that it's going to take a little longer.
Yes,
for it to be. But you believe you found his resting place?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was a properly conducted archaeological excavation, so that's well recorded.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that bodies were found there under this presumably already was a really strong indication.
Yes.
Okay. That's a bit of the groundwork done. I'm going to have to take a quick break, Brendan,
Sure.
then we're going to come back to you and talk about what is being planned.
Perfect.
Stay with us.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Pet owners, does your cat love to scratch your furniture? Are you looking for advice but don't know who to ask? Don't ask just anyone, ask Maxi Zoo. Get advice on cat furniture and toys, plus lots more in your local store. Find yours at maxizoo.ie. Maxi Zoo, Ireland's largest pet retailer.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
If you're aged 60 to 64, it's time to boost your protection from COVID-19. Your protection from previous vaccines or from COVID-19 infection decreases over time. Your next vaccine will help protect you from serious illness in the months ahead. Book an appointment at a HSE vaccination centre on hse.ie. Call our team in HSE Live on 1800 700 700 or contact a participating GP or pharmacy from the HSE. For us all.
This Tuesday night at Logues of Cranford, there's the final big band night of the summer, with dancing to Jimmy Buckley and his band. That's big band dancing this Tuesday night at Logues of Cranford with Jimmy Buckley and his band.
Okay, we're still in the company of Brendan Rowan, and we're talking now about a major fundraiser underway to generate support for a commemoration marking the 420th anniversary of the death of Red Hugh O'Donnell in Spain. Brendan, sometimes do you wonder why someone like yourself has to go to this effort and to try and make this happen, rather than it being of course that we already have the connections established between Spain and Ireland, even as I've suggested when we talked about Red Hugh O'Donnell before. Not wishing to commercialise it, but the huge tourism potential. We've got two parts of the world so interconnected. You really shouldn't have to be doing this, really, should you? This should also already be something that is a Donegal or national or international event.
Yes, I agree, but perhaps I've been inspired, or as I said already, maybe possessed by his spirit, and I have to get on with it. So the process you're talking about, I think, would be lengthy. And if the surgeons and the oncologists are correct, I don't have that much time. I was given to the 7th of March. The estimate was 3.5 years. So I'm 5 months beyond that now, and I need to get on with this. In June 2020, I proposed again to the Director of Cultural Tourism that I had met at the time. I was down there first. A new suggestion, which was to mark the anniversary of his death with a reenactment of the funeral as it was described in the Annals of the Four Masters that we read, because I think it must have been a huge, iconic state funeral, the way it's described there. So what I suggested is that we would maybe do a reenactment of that, but with pandemic and everything, and also my own illness, nothing much happened until Carlos Burgos. Now, Carlos is the chairman of the Hispano-Irish Association, and he contacted me and he said, look, maybe we could do something about this. So we got together a committee, or rather he did, or a committee formed. So we have at this stage 8 people who are now organising this, because the initial suggestion of the reenactment, of course, was mine, but these are very accomplished people, historians, musicians, etc. And what they want to do is to create a festival. So the festival that has been decided is a 3-day festival, starting on the 10th of September, which is the exact 400th anniversary of his death. And that we would... and actually, we've now been told that Simancas Town Council, the mayor is going to welcome us there. And we would like to do... to set up a scene like you saw there for the deathbed scene of Christopher Columbus, something similar, and just with a photograph of that, because it's not possible to get more than a dozen people into the King's private chapel where it's thought he died. And then while we're in the town hall or someplace else, that's to be decided, someone will then read his last will, which is quite long and really very, very interesting, and someone will read it in Spanish, because obviously it had to be witnessed by a lawyer, and there were lawyers present when he signed it, or started to sign it, when he died. And then that we would then have exhibitions of Irish music, dancing, etc., on the streets or maybe the plazas or within various venues in Simancas.
It's going to be an amazing event. It's the Red Hugh O'Donnell commemoration, scheduled for the 10th to the 12th of September. You talked of the reenactment and also the reenactment of the clearly what was an iconic funeral procession as well, and the unveiling of a special plaque at the site of the interment of Red Hugh O'Donnell and Christopher Columbus, which, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful 3 days. So in terms of fundraising and people contributing to this, the amount being sought is not huge. It's certainly attainable. It's €25,000. That covers the cost of publicity, insurance, hire of professional reenactors, and the other stuff that needs to be done.
Yes.
So how are we, I don't mean me, but how are we fundraising for this?
Okay, and why not you?
It
I
can
think
be
you're
now.
actually doing it right now.
Okay, right. I just didn't, I just didn't want to sound like I was jumping on any bandwagon with all the effort that you've put in. I meant we as a county, okay?
Thank you, yes. Okay, well, so we discussed how we might raise this money, and although one person offered to bankroll the whole lot, we thought that wasn't really appropriate. We thought it would be better to put it out to allow more people to participate in it. So we already have a minimum of 100 people who are registered to come. Now, when I say 100 people registered to come, there's no telling how many people will actually be there. I would think it will be considerably more. These people are only registered because we had to organise accommodation and tell them about flights and everything. But take, for instance, Valladolid City Council were going to do something about the plaque in May, and the eminent historian and writer Dr. John McCavitt went down. But in the end, they didn't. They weren't ready to unveil the plaque, and so there was no advertising of what he was doing. And he was speaking in English in Valladolid in Spain. 200 people turned up. Wow. So you can imagine with a little bit of publicity that this might now get. I think it'll be considerably more, because there's great interest. I mean, it's where the Gaelic people came from, northwest Spain. If you go back to the Milesians, and that's again is a watershed between our mythology and our history. So we have this huge connection with Spain.
Yeah. It'd be fascinating to do a program like this that we're having now in Spain.
Yes, indeed.
Broadcasting to the people of Ireland for those who couldn't attend. It sounds like it would be a wonderful thing. So how do then, if someone's listening and they want to be a part of this, and I think it's kind of interesting the way you talked of not taking money from a single donor. Is it about ownership and having more people feel that they're part of it, and in a way that's helps spread the word? So if someone is listening and they say, I want to be a part of it.
Okay, well, there's three things. Four maybe. First, make your way down there if at all possible. To participate. If that's not possible for any reason, we identified 3 streams through which people could contribute and be a part of it. So one is through crowdfunding, and that's already underway, and I think it's about 2 weeks I think now, and there's about 1,400 already, and these are subscriptions of 20, 50, 200 euros, which is great.
Which is what you wanted.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to run out of time. So where can we direct people to get more information? Is there a website or a Facebook page or something?
Yes. So there's a local Facebook page set up by Eddie Crawford, and that's the Red Hugh O'Donnell Facebook page, and that alone will direct you. But if you Google crowdfunding, Red Hugh O'Donnell 420, you'll find it there. People can donate. But please let me make an important point, if I can, before I finish. The two other streams are, we have written to all 37 Donegal County councillors because we discovered that they have a small personal bursary for something like this. So we've asked them to donate up to 200 euros.
Modest. That's a modest request out of that fund. I think.
Then the other is that there are specific items that I feel that particular people who have an interest in horses, or maybe are O'Donnells themselves. Let's say there was an O'Donnell person connected with, let's say, funerals, and they wanted to sponsor the horse-drawn funeral carriage. And particularly if they're an O'Donnell, I mean, that would be wonderful. And then there's the Mounted Royal Guard. Well, that's 2,720, but they're a very professional outfit. They look spectacular on their horses, etc. So there are items like that people could actually donate to, or and if they did in that specific case, and if they want to, obviously we'll record their sponsorship on our souvenir program.
There's so much more we could discuss. We have to go now. And you've referenced your health a couple of times. I haven't sort of brushed over that, but I wanted to focus on this for now. I would love to speak to you if you're open to it, and we could maybe push this again about your health and your outlook. I think an awful lot of people would be interested in that and actually inspired by that. But that would be whether you choose to accept such an invite or not.
Absolutely.
But it's been lovely having you in. And it's a fascinating story on so many levels, Brendan.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care of yourself. Brendan
Bye-bye.
Rowan there. And we'll link those websites, Facebook pages on our social media as well. Okay, back with more after this quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Student loans now available and free banking for students from your local and friendly credit union. Call 91022126 or email loans@letterkennycu.ie.
I started off walking parkrun, and it took me a year to build up to be able to run 5 kilometres. When I got breast cancer, I actually feel the fact that I was fit meant I was able to tolerate the treatment so much better. And when I came out of hospital, the first thing I actually did was go for a walk with one of my parkrun buddies. It's not just about running, it's exercise for life. My name is Geraldine and I'm a park runner.
VHI believes park run is more than running. That's why we're their biggest supporter. Join us every week at your local park run.
Discover your dream Donegal wedding by choosing a Gallon Hospitality Hotel for your special day. Jackson's and Villa Rose exude elegance, quality and a wealth of experience in executing the perfect wedding reception. Come along to Jackson's Hotel and the Villa Rose Hotel on Sunday, September 11th as they present their autumn wedding venue showcase and view their complete wedding offering. Visit gallongroup.com to find out more.
The uniform is ironed, the copybooks are fresh, the bags are waiting at the door, you are ready for back to school. Wait a second, you have to feed them too. Don't worry, at Lidl there's bags of savings to be had. We've got a healthy 25% off loads of lovely lunch stuff like yogurts, meats, cheeses and juices through the Lidl Plus app. Now that's an inflation busting offer worth studying. Make school cost less with Lidl. More for you.
Are you looking to upskill this September? Choose one of 18 fantastic Springboard Plus programs available at Atlantic Technological University, Donegal. Fully funded for the unemployed and 90% funded for those in employment. Embrace the future and learn new skills with flexible, funded courses in business, computing, tourism, culinary arts and engineering. Visit lyit.ie/springboard. The future is here. Springboard Plus is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for man.
Okay, we were looking for the year as part of our fantastic competition we have running with Specsavers. The winner today, Helena McBride from Carrick. Helena, you have won a Highland Radio goodie bag, and you are in the draw for Friday's great prize of tickets to see Christy Moore in September and a €400 voucher for the Great Northern Hotel. And it's all thanks to our friends at Specsavers and Audiology. Okay, we'll be back with more on the programme tomorrow from 9 o'clock. I promise the show will start tomorrow at 9. But for me, Greg Hughes, and all the team, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and stand by. John Breslin's on the way.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate holiday loans with fast